Chapter 3398. The fourth reagent had been injected, and now Xiaochun had to inject them with the first and second reagents. In order to attract Lin Yi's attention, Xiaochun purposely drove around House Tang's hotel and said to the hypnotist, "We can start now." Xiao Chun had practiced this action many times before coming here. Xiao Chun skillfully injected the potion into the three biohumans in front of her, and then the hypnotist began to hypnotize them. Meanwhile, Xiao Chun drove to the antique shop. The timing was just right. In fact, when Xiaochun drove around the hotel, Lin Yi noticed it. This made Lin Yi a little puzzled. What was he trying to do? Provoke him? Could it be that Zhang Wen knew that he was staying in the hotel and purposely told him that he was going to rob the hotel? Or was he thinking too much? Was he just here to take a look and wanted to rob the hotel after robbing the antique shop? Of course, the second possibility was more likely, but no matter what, Lin Yi rushed to the antique shop with House Tang as soon as possible. Tang Taizhong admired Yushu very much. She said that she was going to rob the antique shop today, and she really came. When the van arrived at the antique shop, they saw that Lin Yi was already waiting for them at the entrance. There were no other customers around, and evidently, the place had been cleared by House Tang to prevent people who didn't know the truth from causing a commotion. Xiaochun stopped the van, and he didn't know why, but his heart was beating very fast. His goal was to bring people to fight Lin Yi, but now that Lin Yi was waiting for him, he couldn't feel happy at all. He felt that something bad was going to happen. "Hypnotist, how is it? Is it done?" Xiaochun asked. "No problem. I order them to get out of the van and carry out the mission." The hypnotist nodded, and then gave the order to the 5 biohumans. The 3 biohumans got out of the van one by one, and they surrounded Lin Yi. This time their order was to surround and attack Lin Yi. No matter who interfered, they would ignore them and focus solely on attacking Lin Yi. Lin Yi frowned slightly. He also felt that something was amiss. There was someone else in the van at the moment. Did this person not know that he was the one who killed the biohuman yesterday? Why did he bring 3 of them today? Did he really think that these 3 biohumans were a match for him? All 6 of them died yesterday. You think you're amazing just because you've lost half of it? There seemed to be something strange about this. Since he couldn't figure it out, Lin Yi didn't think too much about it. He adopted yesterday's strategy and defeated them one by one. Flaming Fist 10th move. Lin Yi attacked Cyborg 1, who was the closest to him. Boom! The fist landed on the cyborg's body. Not to be outdone, the cyborg also attacked. He also threw a punch at Lin Yi's fist. It was a head-on attack. This wasn't what Lin Yi had imagined. The cyborg's fist made Lin Yi's blood boil in his chest. It was a huge amount of strength. The huge force pushed Lin Yi back, and he fell to the ground. Blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Heaven late stage. This cyborg actually had the offensive power of a heaven late stage expert. It looked like a normal punch, but it contained such explosive power. Lin Yi didn't expect it at all, and he was hit by it, suffering a serious internal injury in an instant. However, this wasn't the end of it. After the cyborg exchanged blows with Lin Yi, he was sent flying. He was sent flying as well, spitting out a mouthful of blood. It looked even more serious than Lin Yi's, but he was able to get up quickly. There was a dent in his chest, but it didn't seem to affect him at all. Even his speed didn't decrease as he ran towards Lin Yi again. Lin Yi was shocked. This was indeed unusual. The 5 cyborgs today were completely different from yesterday's. Not only did they have high attack power, but their resistance was also stronger. Lin Yi's Flaming Fist 10th move actually didn't do anything to the cyborg in front of him. Lin Yi originally wanted to use the art of dragon mastery to heal the injuries in his body, but he didn't have the chance. Before the cyborg could run over, the other 2 cyborgs had already reached Lin Yi. One on the left and one on the right, they suddenly punched at Lin Yi. Lin Yi was shocked. He quickly used the butterfly subtle steps to dodge the attacks of the 2 cyborgs. After all, the intelligence of these 2 cyborgs didn't seem to be very high. Their mobility was also restricted, and they weren't very agile. That was why Lin Yi was able to quickly get up from the ground and dodge the attacks. However, there was a saying that was true. One couldn't dodge the first attack, but one couldn't dodge the next. Lin Yi had just dodged the attacks of the cyborgs when the first cyborg had already arrived behind Lin Yi. He suddenly punched at Lin Yi and directly smashed Lin Yi. Fortunately, The jade pendant had already given a strong warning at this moment, so the cyborg's sneak attack didn't reach its maximum effect. Lin Yi had already used his vital energy to protect his body. Although his previous injuries had worsened, at least it wasn't worse. Go to hell. Lin Yi turned around and smashed the 11th move of the flaming 8 trigram's palm. Initially, Lin Yi didn't want to use this move. However, the cyborgs in front of him were too strong. So Lin Yi had no choice but to use his strongest move. Boom! Cyborg 1 and Lin Yi exchanged blows. Because Lin Yi had attacked with all his strength, he didn't reserve too much of his vital energy to protect his body. Therefore, the damage to Lin Yi was quite great. As the cyborgs flew backward, Lin Yi also flew backward under the impact of the huge recoil and crashed to the ground. This time, under the great power of the 11th move of the flaming 8 trigram's palm, Cyborg 1 was smashed into pieces. His entire body was turned into pieces, and it was impossible for him to survive. However, Lin Yi's physical strength had been severely depleted, and he had also suffered very serious internal injuries. However, Lin Yi knew that he couldn't afford to be careless. There were still 2 cyborgs attacking him from behind in the van. The hypnotist stared coldly at the scene outside the van and said calmly, "It seems that this Lin Yi still has some tricks up his sleeve. However, he is now at the end of his rope." "That's true. I hope that these 2 cyborgs can kill Lin Yi." Xiao Chun nodded, but she still didn't feel at ease. Lin Yi used the killer's ultimate skill, butterfly micro-steps, and avoided the attacks of the 2 cyborgs. However, Lin Yi knew that this was not a solution at all. If he continued to dodge like this, he would make a mistake sooner or later. Chapter 3399. He didn't expect these 3 biohumans to be so strong. It seemed that Zhang Wen knew that he would fight here, so he purposely sent so many masters. However, with Lin Yi's current condition, he couldn't use the 11th form of the Fire 8 trigram's palm again. He could only keep dodging. This way, even if Lin Yi continued to fight, he wouldn't be able to defeat these 2. Lin Yi was very anxious. His stamina was also decreasing by the minute. Right now, he was like a bow with a crossbow. Lin Yi's steps were getting slower and slower, and his movements were getting more and more strenuous. Right now, Lin Yi was severely exhausted and he was also injured. If it wasn't for his determination, he might have died. Lin Yi is only a so-so. 3 biohumans already made him so miserable. If the ones from yesterday came together, Lin Yi would probably be dead already. The hypnotist smiled coldly at Lin Yi. "You dare to go against our Master One with just this level of skill? You really don't know what's good for you. I hope Lin Yi won't survive today." Xiao Chun nodded, relaxing a little. Right now, Lin Yi was obviously at a disadvantage. From his point of view, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to escape. Watch out! Lin Yi dodged Biohuman 2's attack, but Biohuman 3's attack followed. It seemed that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to dodge it, so Ling Shan immediately warned him. She subconsciously wanted to rush up and help, attacking Biohuman 3 with all her might. However, when her fists landed on Biohuman 3, it didn't seem to feel anything at all. It was as if it was completely useless, and Biohuman 3 continued to attack Lin Yi. "Everyone help!" Ling Shan said urgently. Tang Taizheng, eldest Tang, second Tang, and Tang Yui heard her and all went up to help attack Biohuman 3. Tang Taizheng also knew that if anything happened to Lin Yi, then the hidden house Tang would be finished with him. However, these people were not strong. Even if they attacked Biohuman 3, they would not be able to defeat him. It wasn't able to deal too much damage to Cyborg 3 either. Cyborg 3's movement was only slightly slowed down, allowing Lin Yi to dodge the attack. However, just as Lin Yi dodged Biohuman 3's attack, Biohuman 2's attack came again, causing Lin Yi to groan inwardly. One Bio 3 was already something Ling Shan and the others couldn't handle. Cyborg 2 was coming again, and she couldn't deal with it. At this critical moment she couldn't react at all. Nuwa Sky Mending Art. Just as Bionic 2's attack was about to reach Lin Yi, Xiaoke yelled and used her defensive arts. In fact, Xiaoke had been preparing for this, and now that she saw that Lin Yi was exhausted, she quickly used her ultimate move. However, they weren't weak and their attacks were equivalent to Sky Class late phase. Xiaoke was only at the early phase of Sky Class, and even if she could defend against a Sky Class late phase's attack, she wouldn't be able to withstand it. It was also impossible to defend for too long. Boom! Biohuman 2's attack didn't land on Lin Yi. Instead, it seemed to have landed on a protective barrier. Lin Yi at this moment was completely free. He even fell to the ground. His physical strength had been exhausted. He had to restore his physical strength and true qi as soon as possible and heal the injuries in his body. He knew that Yu Xiaoke wouldn't be able to hold on for much longer, so he activated the art of dragon mastery. He began to heal his injuries and recover his physical strength. Ling Sha knew Xiaoke's defensive skills, and she let out a breath of relief, allowing the two to continue attacking Lin Yi. Old Tang Taizhong was a sky class as well, but he was a sky class who'd gotten to that level through elixirs. There was a lot of water in it, so its attack power was very weak. When it hit Biohuman 3, it could not even cause him serious injuries. It could only cause some minor injuries, which made him very depressed. He couldn't do anything to help Lin Yi right now, so he could only watch helplessly as the two biohumans attacked Lin Yi. Xiaoke didn't feel much at first, but after a minute, a thin layer of sweat appeared on her forehead. She felt as if her physical strength was being devoured by a black hole, gushing out of her body like a tide. At this moment, she understood how difficult it was for her to defend against these two with her current strength. Their attacks were simply consuming too much of her physical strength. But no matter what, Xiaoke had to hold on and create a chance for Lin Yi to recover his physical strength. Otherwise, Lin Yi would be in danger right now. Ling Shan and the others were panicking as they looked at Xiaoke, but they couldn't do anything to help. They couldn't beat the biohumans, so they could only watch. Xiaoke sis, you have to hold on. Yushu had a lot of tricks up her sleeve, but she didn't know what to do now. But I think that we'll be able to survive this. Xiaoke replied in a barely audible voice. She was simply too weak and she was holding on with her faith. Lin Yi was panicking as well, but there was nothing he could do. His injuries were too severe, and using the 11th form of the Fire 8 Trigrams palm had used up a lot of his physical strength as well. He also had to dodge for a while and now he was almost out of energy. He could only hope that Xiaoke could hold on for a little longer. Time passed second by second, and sweat soaked Xiaoke's collar. Her face was pale, and her body was trembling. It had only been 2 minutes. But then again, with Xiaoke's strength, it was already a miracle that she could defend against the attacks of two sky-class late-phase masters at the same time. She had to hold on, she had to hold on. Xiaoke kept reminding herself, but her stamina was getting weaker and weaker, and she couldn't do what she wanted. She had no choice but to burn her own life force in exchange for a moment of safety. Xiaoke's faith was strong. Before it was for the orphanage and now it was for Lin Yi. She would rather die than hold on. The people and things in front of her were getting blurry. Xiaoke gritted her teeth and started chanting the arts mechanically. At this moment, she felt that her body was getting lighter. She didn't need to use all her strength, but she could still chant the arts. Her thoughts suddenly went back to that dark tomb, but the things that happened in there were so beautiful and sunny in her memories. The confession outside the tomb would forever be imprinted in her heart, frozen in that moment. Chapter 3400. When Xiaoke fell to the ground, the practitioner's chant was still going on, and the two biohumans didn't hit Lin Yi at all. Lin Yi's eyes were bloodshot. He didn't think that the battle he was supposed to win would end up like this. He wanted to stand up and rush over to check on Xiaoke, but if he got hit by the biohumans, he'd be wasting Xiaoke's good intentions. Lin Yi also knew that Xiaoke's defense was over. He stood up and dodged the attacks from Biohuman 2 and 3, looking at Xiaoke from the corner of his eyes. At this moment, Xiaoke was already on the ground, unmoving. Ling Shan and the others were all surrounding Xiaoke. Lin Yi wanted to see what was going on, but he couldn't do anything else. He could only keep dodging the biohumans' attacks. Although he had recovered some of his injuries and recovered some of his qi, Xiaoke had only given him 2 minutes. It was impossible for him to recover much qi in such a short period of time. So Lin Yi couldn't use the 11th form of the Fire 8 Trigrams palm. He could only continue dodging. What move did that girl use just now? How could she block the biohumans' attacks? Xiaoke's chant had stunned both Xiaochun and the hypnotist. They had never seen anything like this before. Xiaoke fainted and Lin Yi continued to dodge. Only then did Xiaochun come back to his senses. I don't know. We don't know much about martial arts, but who cares? Now that the girl has fainted, let's see how Lin Yi handles this. The hypnotist didn't really care about Xiaoka's situation. But the biohumans only have 5 minutes left. Xiaochun's face was bitter. Lin Yi had lasted for more than 10 minutes, and Xiaoka had lasted for another 2 minutes. So the biohumans only had 5 minutes left. In other words, if they couldn't kill Lin Yi in 5 minutes, the 2 biohumans would die. Motherfucker. The hypnotist was stunned for a moment before realizing the problem of time. He frowned and said, "Little Pure, calculate the time. If they can't kill Lin Yi, we'll drive away immediately." "I understand." Little Chuanjia nodded, but he no longer had any hope for the biohuman. He was ready to drive away. Lin Yi could not use the 11th style of the Raging Fire 8 trigrams palm. Lin Yi had no choice but to dodge. The inescapable net was gone. Otherwise, he could have used it to escape. However, Lin Yi didn't have any weapons in his hands. Although he was wearing the gale-chasing lightning boots, it was not a problem for him to escape. But what about the others? He couldn't just ignore it, right? He didn't know if Jiang Wen had any backup plans. What if he left and Jiang Wen attacked Lingshan and the hidden house Tang? So Lin Yi could only think of a way to break through while dodging. However, Lin Yi really couldn't think of a way to solve this seemingly unsolvable situation. However, Lin Yi had been dealing with the 2 biohumans for a while now. However, he noticed a strange phenomenon. The speed and attack power of the 2 biohumans were decreasing. In terms of speed, Lin Yi could easily feel it. After all, at the beginning, Lin Yi had just dodged their first round of attack, and the next round of attack followed. But now, after dodging, Lin Yi still had a chance to breathe. The 2 of them were no longer as agile as they used to be. As for the strength, although Lin Yi didn't receive a direct attack, Lin Yi could still feel the strength of the punch from the side. From the momentum, he could tell that these people's fists had the strength of a Sky-class late-stage master. They had already shrunk to Sky-class mid-stage. This discovery surprised Lin Yi. Could it be that the energy of the biohumans was exhausted? Thinking of this, Lin Yi continued to fight. As expected, what happened next confirmed Lin Yi's guess. The 2 people's speed was getting slower and slower, and their strength was getting weaker and weaker. Finally, at the 19-minute mark, the 2 people's movements became uncoordinated, and the strength of their attacks also decreased to Sky-class early stage. "Let's go." The hypnotist knew that the 2 cyborgs would die of natural causes if this went on, and he wouldn't be able to do anything to Lin Yi anymore. As a result, he chose to leave decisively. If the cyborgs died here, he might not be able to escape. Xiaochun also saw the problem. She started the car and was ready to leave. Lingshan, stop that car. The 2 biohumans were no longer a threat to Lin Yi, so Lin Yi could now pay attention to other things. Seeing that the van had actually started, he quickly asked Lingshan to stop it. Even without Lin Yi's reminder, Lingshan had already noticed that there was something wrong with the van. There were people in the van. Shi Tang Taizheng, eldest brother Tang, second brother Tang, and Tang Yiyu surrounded the van. Xiaochun was shocked. She stepped on the gas pedal and wanted to crash into the van, but unfortunately, Tang Taizheng reached out and stopped the van with one hand, not allowing it to move forward. The van's tires made an ear-piercing screech against the ground, but it couldn't do anything to Tang Taizheng. Tang Taizheng might not be able to deal with biohumans, but stopping a van was a piece of cake for a Sky-class like him. Lingshan, Boss Tang, and the others used this opportunity to charge into the van, grabbing Xiaochun and the hypnotist out. These 2 weren't practitioners at all. There was no way they could fight back. If they didn't want to suffer, they could only surrender. When Xiaochun and the hypnotist were captured, the 2 biohumans fell to the ground, not moving at all. This situation surprised Lin Yi, but it wasn't out of his expectations. Lin Yi reached out to check the pulse and breathing of the biohumans. They had both stopped. He was a skilled doctor and he could tell if they were really dead or not. Seeing that they were really dead, Lin Yi walked to Xiaoka quickly to check on her. There was still breathing and pulse. This made Lin Yi sigh in relief. But the next moment, Lin Yi's face became very strange. Xiaoka's breathing and pulse weren't normal at all. It could be said that it was very slow, like the breathing of a hibernating animal. Although she was still alive, she was different from a normal person. Chapter 3401. This made Lin Yi go into deep thought. Could it be that Xiaoka only lost her qi? But how would Xiaoka recover her qi? Could she use energy stones? Since it was to increase qi, Lin Yi's art of dragon mastery couldn't do anything. Xiaoke couldn't use the chant right now, and he couldn't forcefully transfer energy into her body. He was panicking, but Lin Yi quickly thought of a way. He could try out the Spring Rain skill he'd learned before. Spring Rain could passively recover his teammates' qi. With that thought, Lin Yi couldn't care about himself anymore. The situation wasn't urgent, and he could recover his injuries later. He used his remaining qi and used Spring Rain once. He didn't use his full strength, but it was definitely effective. After using Spring Rain, Lin Yi could clearly feel that Xiaoke's qi was recovering. It wasn't completely recovered, but it was a part of it. But Xiaoke's face was still as pale as ever, and there were no signs of her waking up. Could it be that he didn't have enough qi left to wake her up? With that thought, Lin Yi quickly sat cross-legged on the ground and started using the art of dragon mastery, quickly recovering his injuries and qi. He planned on using Spring Rain again when he was at his peak condition. At that moment, Lingshan had already brought Xiaochun and the hypnotist over. Lin Yi looked at them and he froze. Lin Yi knew these two. After Tianli was tricked Lu Jinghan, Han Jingjing had asked Tianli to draw out Lang Nima and Cui Miancher's portraits when she was investigating the case. Lin Yi took a look, but he didn't know these two, and so he didn't pay much attention. But now that he saw Xiaochun and the hypnotist, he suddenly realized that these two people were actually the two people from back then. Lang Nima, Cui Miancher, long time no see. Lin Yi was using his arts to recover his qi, but as long as he didn't use any skills at the same time, it wouldn't affect his ability to speak. He looked at Xiaochun and the hypnotist. He said coldly. Xiaochun was slightly stunned, and he knew that this was not good. He wanted to bluff his way out of this by saying that he and the hypnotist were just drivers hired by the biohumans and had nothing to do with those people. If he did that, they might just let them go. He fell into Lingshan's hands. He wasn't too scared since Lingshan was a police. She needed evidence. The bioweapons were dead, and there was nothing she could do if they insisted that they were drivers. He and the hypnotist were both normal people. They weren't practitioners, and Lingshan would let them go in the end. But it would be a different story if they fell into Lin Yi's hands. Lin Yi wouldn't care about evidence, and now that Lin Yi recognized them as Lang Nima and Cui Miancher, Lin Yi wouldn't let them go no matter if there was evidence or not. Falling into Lin Yi's hands would only lead to death. With that thought, Xiaochun felt that it was better for them to fall into Lingshan's hands. He could say that they were just running errands, and that the real mastermind was the firewolves. That way he wouldn't die even if he was sentenced. Officer Song, I'll be honest, Lang Nima and Cui Miancher are just our aliases. Our real identities are members of the firewolves. We're just running errands, we'll tell you everything we know. Xiaochun said. Right, tricking Lu Tianli was an order from our superiors as well. We're just gang members, we'll be honest. The hypnotist, naturally, understood what Xiaochun was trying to say. To be honest, Lin Yi didn't have much interest in them. He didn't like Tianli in the first place, and if it weren't for the fact that he was Han Jingjing's father, Lin Yi wouldn't let him off easily even if he didn't kill him. He didn't plan on helping Tianli. Since these two wanted to be honest, he'd just have to be honest with Lingshan. After all, Lingshan had done a great service for the firewolves, and the investigation department had always been in charge of the firewolves. See if they tell us anything about Jiang Wen. If they do, then it means that they're sincere. If they don't, then tell me. I'll open their heads and see if they're lying. Lin Yi said faintly. Xiaochun didn't want to betray Jiang Wen. He said he was from the firewolves to cover for Jiang Wen. The firewolves were huge after all, and who knew who the higher-ups were? But now Lin Yi seemed to have his eyes on them, and he knew some of the truth. It seemed like lying was impossible. Xiaochun sighed helplessly. I'll tell you. The person in charge is someone called Master One. I don't know if he's that Jiang Wen. Yes, everyone calls him Master One, that's all we know. The hypnotist added. Isn't it Jiang Wen? We'll know even if you don't tell us. Lingshan glared at the two. Let's go, follow me back. Lin Yi healed his injuries and qi, casting Spring Rain once more. But what made Lin Yi depressed was that Xiaoke's qi seemed to have recovered, but she didn't seem to be waking up at all. Shield bro, Xiaoke sis. Yushu only dared to come over now. She didn't want to disturb Lin Yi when she saw how focused he was. I don't know what's going on with her. I've already recovered her energy, but she still hasn't woken up. Linny frowned and shook his head. Is there something else going on? That's right. Yushu rubbed Xiaoka's head and felt for her breathing. She exclaimed in surprise. Ah, Xiaoka Sis's breathing is so weak. It's not weak, it's slow. Linny said. She's like an animal in hibernation right now. I've never seen a problem like this before. Then, will there be a problem? Yushu was startled as well. She didn't think that Xiaoka would cause a problem when she helped Lin Yi. It doesn't seem like her life is in danger for now. Her vitals are very stable, just like hibernation, Lin Yi said. Chapter 3402. The inheritor won't. I suspected that she used up all her qi, but I used the spring rain technique to help her recover her qi. She's fine now, but she hasn't woken up yet. It doesn't seem like that's the reason. Lin Yi shook his head. The only thing we can do now is to bring her back and ask Udake if there's any solution. That's the only way. Yushu nodded. The hidden house Tang's matter was temporarily solved. Xiaochun and the hypnotist were caught, and Jiangwen probably wouldn't cause any more trouble for a while. Lin Yi could leave in peace. However, Lin Yi didn't feel any joy from solving the problem. Xiaoka fainted for no reason at all, and it made his heart heavy. Lin Yi's heart was filled with regret. If he hadn't underestimated the enemy, Xiaoka wouldn't have been hurt. If he had prepared a qi bomb in advance, this wouldn't have happened. During the battle, when Lin Yi was healing, he really thought about compressing a qi bomb or using the puppet made by the thing in the jade to help. However, Lin Yi thought that Xiaoka could hold on for a while, so he didn't do that. At that time, Lin Yi's body was weak, and he didn't have enough time to condense the qi bomb. Releasing the puppet, Lin Yi was afraid that others would know his trump card too early. After all, this trump card wasn't ordinary. If the Xianchen ancestor knew about it, Lin Yi would be in even more trouble. As long as Lin Yi wasn't an idiot, he wouldn't let others see this puppet. But now that he thought about it, he should have made a prompt decision. He didn't know that Xiaoka would become like this. If he had known, he would have risked being found out and angering the Xianchen ancestor. When he returned to the hotel, Wang Xinyan was already awake, but she didn't leave. She sat quietly on the bed and waited for Lin Yi. When she saw Lin Yi carrying Xiaoka in, she was shocked. Lin Yi, what happened to Xiaoka? Are you hurt? Not injured, fainted, or? She's hibernating. Lin Yi explained Xiaoka's situation briefly. Ah, we'll let her sleep in the energy stones at night, see if it works? Xinyan suggested, thinking of her own situation. I can give it a try, but there shouldn't be much hope. Lin Yi's spring rain martial technique was about the same as the energy stones. Although it wasn't as much as the energy stones, under Lin Yi's all-out effort, Xiaoka had already recovered her pure qi. It shouldn't have much to do with the energy stones. Xinyan nodded and didn't say anything. Lingshan and Yushu were silent as well, and Lingshan was the one who was apologizing for what happened before. She and Yu Xiaoka were enemies. Back then, Yu Xiaoka was a female cat burglar, and she had tried to bring Yu Xiaoka to justice. But now Yu Xiaoka had done a great deed, helping her settle the Tang matter, and was now unconscious. After putting Yu Xiaoka into the energy stones, Lin Yi called Udake. Mr. Lin, is everything going well on your side? Udake was looking after the house, worried about Lin Yi and his sister. Everything's taken care of, but there's something wrong with Ku. Lin Yi sighed. He told Udake everything that had happened in detail. Xiaoka. Udake was a little emotional, but he didn't blame Lin Yi for his and his sister's lives. It could be said that Lin Yi had saved them, and Lin Yi was the one who did it. He couldn't blame Lin Yi right now, but he was really worried about his sister's safety. If someone as strong as Lin Yi couldn't do anything, then was there no hope for his sister? Dake, don't worry, I'll think of something. Xinyan's problem is so serious, and I found a solution in the end. I'll try my best for Xiaoka as well. Lin Yi said. It's nothing, Mr. Lin. I believe that you can definitely wake Xiaoku up, but I'm afraid I don't know what happened to Xiaoku for the time being. When I went home last time, I brought back the Yu family's diary. I'll check it and see if there's any mention of similar situations. Udake said. The journal was long, but he wanted to read it from the beginning for Yu Xiaoka. Okay, I'll wait for your news. Lin Yi didn't get an answer from Udake. It was within his expectations, but Udake said that there might be a solution in the journal, and that gave Lin Yi some hope. How is it? How is it? Yushu asked anxiously after hanging up. Dake doesn't have a solution, Linny sighed. It seems like we can only ask the old man at home. Yes, Grandpa Lin is so powerful he must have a solution, Yushu said. Linny nodded and called Lin Dongfang. In fact, if it was a normal thing, Linny wouldn't trouble old Lin easily, but he had no other choice. What's wrong? Why are you calling me all of a sudden? Are you in trouble again? It was said that no one knew a son better than a father, and old Lin was the same. Old Lin, I'm in trouble, Linny smiled bitterly. Yuxiaoka fainted. Yuxiaoka fainted? Who's Yuxiaoka? What's she doing? Old Lin paused. He hadn't heard Linny talk about Yuxiaoka before, and he didn't know how to react when Linny brought it up all of a sudden. She's a female friend of mine. Linny sweated and explained. Don't worry about me and her first, I'll talk about her first. With that, Linny told old Lin about Yuxiaoka getting Nuwa's heaven-mending art, as well as the characteristics of Nuwa's heaven-mending art, as well as how Yuxiaoka fainted to help him block an attack. Fainted to block an attack. Old Lin paused. I've never seen this before, why don't you bring her back? I want to see what's wrong with her myself. That's fine, I'll go back then. Linny didn't have anything else to do, so he decided to go back and ask old Lin for help. Chapter 3403. It's not your fault, Linny said with a wave of his hand. I'm from the Secret Investigation Department as well, and the department's business is my business as well. I can't just stand by and watch, not to mention that this is about Jiangwen. I've been pissing him off for a long time now, and even if this didn't happen, I'd still do something to him. Alright, I'll have to trouble you with little cuz matter. Lingshan sighed. At that moment there was a knock on the door. Linny quickly put away the energy stones on the bed and opened the door to see Tang Taizhong and the others standing outside. Linny didn't want outsiders to see these energy stones. After all, one shouldn't show off one's wealth. Master Lin, how's miss you? Has she woken up yet? If there's anything you need like precious treasures, just let us know. We, the hidden house Tang, will do whatever we can. Tang Taizhong said sincerely this time. He knew that House Tang's crisis had been resolved, and with Xiaochun and the hypnotist caught, the biohumans wouldn't appear in the near future. Under Lingshan's orders, eldest Tang and second Tang had gone to interrogate Xiaochun and the hypnotist. These two were normal people, so how could they withstand a practitioner's interrogation? House Tang wasn't the police, and they didn't care if their methods were legal or not. Everything was done according to the practitioner's rules, and Xiaochun and the hypnotist quickly wrote down everything they knew, including the fact that Master One was Jiangwen. This saved Lingshan the trouble of interrogating them. Not at the moment, but if there's a need, I won't hold back. Linny said faintly. But I have some things I need and you guys can help me think of a way. No problem. Please tell us, Master Lin. Tang Taizhong said quickly. I have a list here. Elder Tang, please have a look, Linny said as he picked up a pen and wrote down a list. Fine steel mystic iron, black mystic iron, colored steel, black charcoal stone, pure topaz, blue crystal powder, blood of the five evils dragon. Tang Taizhong looked at the things written on the list and was stunned. Young hero Lin, you need these things? Not bad. I wonder if Grandfather Tang has one? Linny nodded. I think there are some, but these things don't seem to be very useful. Tang Taizhong didn't know what Linny wanted to do with these things, but he still gave the list to eldest brother Tang next to him and said, Eldest brother Tang, you usually go to the hidden Tang family's treasure vault and look for these things. Yes, father. Eldest brother Tang nodded and went out with Tang Yu. Young hero Lin, I've gotten the confession of that little pure and the hypnotist. Do you want to take a look? Tang Taizhong then brought up another serious matter. Just show it to Lingshan, I won't be looking. Linny wasn't interested in the two. Did they admit that Master One is Jiangwen? They did, and they also said some other things about the firewolves, Tang Taizhong said quickly. Oh, Linny paused. He didn't expect these two to be so soft, saying so much in one go. He was suddenly interested and started reading with Lingshan. As expected, Jiangwen was the mastermind behind all of this. Many of the previous cases also had some clues now. The underground fighting ring, the kidney case, the kidnapping case, the robbery case, all of these were planned by Jiangwen. Many of the people Lingshan caught were Jiangwen's scapegoats, But with Jiang Wen's cunning and his identity as a member of the Firewolves, Ling Shan couldn't do anything to him in the past. But now that Ling Shan was part of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, she naturally had the right to investigate the Firewolves. However, the Firewolves were too powerful, and Ling Shan had to investigate them step by step. From the looks of it, the two most important people around Jiang Wen were Little Pure and the Hypnotist. The Hypnotist was the main person controlling the cyborgs. Now that he had been captured, Jiang Wen had no choice but to capture him. Even if the cyborgs were created, no one would be able to control them in a short period of time, so there was nothing to be afraid of. Ling Shan let out a breath of relief. Seemed like this case could be closed. As for Jiang Wen, Ling Shan knew that it wouldn't be easy to catch him. She was no longer the reckless policewoman Ling Shan from before. Now she knew how to plan before taking action. That's about it. They've told me everything they know. Linny looked at the crimes written on it, including lying to Lu Tianli. However, he wouldn't be able to get the money back from these two. The mastermind was Jiang Wen, and Jiang Wen had handed the money over to the Firewolves. So Linny still had to settle the debt with the Firewolves. As they were talking, Boss Tang came back not long later. Tang Yu was behind him, holding 2 boxes in his hands. Evidently he found what Linny needed. Lin Yi's eyes narrowed, and he was pleasantly surprised. Master Lin, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting, Boss Tang said politely. The things you mentioned are not commonly used. We, the Hidden House Tang, have only found 2 of them. One is black mystical iron, and the other is black charcoal stone. As for the others like pure topaz and blue crystal powder, we had them before, but we didn't think much of them. We gave them away during the Hidden House Summit. Linny nodded. Blacksmiths had disappeared from the world of practitioners for a long time, and without them, these materials weren't very useful. They looked expensive, but they were actually worthless. It was normal that House Tang didn't care about giving them away. However, these 2 things were enough to make Linny overjoyed. Black mystical iron, black charcoal stone. These 2 were what Linny was sorely lacking. As for the other things, Linny really did have them. Blue crystal powder, topaz, colored steel, and even mystical iron. Linny had them all. With these 2 things, the only thing Linny lacked was the blood of the 5 Wrath Dragon. Although this was the hardest thing to get, the other things were all gathered. Linny let out a sigh of relief. This was a worthwhile trip. Linny didn't hold back. He took the things and said, "Thank you, Grandpa Tang. We'll be leaving now. If there's anything else, you can contact the department." Okay, Master Lin. As a member of the Cultivators Association Alliance, we will definitely follow the department's lead. We won't cause any unnecessary trouble for you, Master Lin. Chapter 3404. Mr. Lin, what about Xiaochun and the Hypnotist? Tang Taizheng asked. Ling Shan, I'll go to West Star Village, you can go back first? Linny said to Ling Shan. There were 2 suspects together, after all, and it wasn't convenient for Ling Shan to bring them along. Ling Shan did say that she wanted to stay with Lin Yi, since she was responsible for Xiaoka's fainting, but the situation was different now. Ling Shan hesitated, but remembering her mission, she said, "All right, I'll head back first then. Contact me if anything happens," Ling Shan said. "All right, I'll head back first." Okay. Linny nodded. However, an unexpected phone call changed Lin Yi's schedule. Lin Yi's phone rang and he took a look at the caller ID. It was Yu Dake. And so Linny quickly picked up the phone. Would there be news from Yu Dake? Dake, how is it? Did you find the source of the problem? Linny asked quickly after picking up the call. Mr. Lin, I did find a case similar to my sister. It's an ancestor of House Yu, Yu Dake said. Yu Dake said. In the log, there is a mention of fainting. The reason for this problem is that it overdraws the spiritual sense and mental strength in one's body, causing the spiritual sense and mental strength deficit in one's body, which leads to a coma. Spiritual force? Depleted? Linny paused. This was the first time he'd heard of something like this. Yes, when resisting powerful pressure and attacks, if one's own strength has been exerted to the limit and still cannot resist, then if one has a kind of belief with the help of powerful divine sense and mental energy, one will continue to resist until one's divine sense and mental energy are exhausted. Yu Dake said, "You're the person my sister loved, and she didn't want anything to happen to you. So, after her chi was depleted, She relied on her strong spiritual force to hold on. That's why this happened. I see. Although Linny felt that it was a bit of a fantasy, the world of cultivation was like this. It was very difficult to explain it with logic. So Linny said, how do we wake her up? Or how do we restore her spiritual sense and mental power? I'm not sure about that. Spiritual sense, spiritual energy, and physical strength are different. This is also the reason why Xiaoku has not woken up even after you have restored her physical strength and true qi. This diary doesn't record anything about this. It only mentions that my ancestor was helped by a divine doctor. Udake said. Which miracle doctor? How did you recover? Linny quickly asked. I don't know about that. This matter should be recorded in my ancestor's life log instead of the entire family's log. After all, these personal matters are only briefly mentioned in the family's log, but not in detail. For specific details, you still have to look at this ancestor's life log. Udake explained. That's the ancestor's life log. Is there anything else? Linny couldn't help but feel nervous. There should be. In our house's ancestral hall, under the ancestors list, there's a life log of each ancestor, Udake said. But we'll have to go back again. Then let's go back. Linny wasn't afraid of a long journey. After all, he had other things to do in Hakonamata Desert. He was too worried about Wang Xinyan. Then he met Kong Mingming's group. Linny didn't want Kong Mingming to know why he was here. And Wang Xinyan was in urgent need of energy stones, so Linny went back first. He was going to Hakonamata Desert to find a person, and that person was Pangolin. According to the map stolen from the Red Conch headquarters, there was a poison base in Hakonamata Desert, and Pangolin was very likely to be here. According to the distance on land, this was one of the most likely places for Pangolin. So, if he were to go to the Yu's house again, he planned to look for Armadillo, even though he didn't want to. Although the chances were slim, Linny had to go. That was why Linny agreed without hesitation. Alright, as long as Mr. Lin doesn't think it's a long journey, then we'll go. Udake was worried about his sister as well. He didn't have much to do, so it was fine for him to go with Linny. Alright, we'll split up and meet up in the direction of Hakonamata Desert. From here we'll depart together. The nearest city should be Pengbei City, Linny said. Let's meet at the highway junction. Alright then Mr. Lin, can I drive the Land Rover in the garage? Udake asked. Land Rover? Of course. Linny smiled. This Land Rover was something Linny and Xiao Xiao had gotten together. When Xiao Xiao had fainted, Linny didn't want to bring up memories, so he didn't drive this car. Xiao Xiao was fine now, and this car wouldn't bring up bad memories for Linny anymore. Then we'll meet at the highway junction. Udake nodded. Linny hung up and turned to Lingshan, Yushu and Xinyan. Lingshan, this time Yushu Xinyan brings Xiaoka back. I'm going to Hakonamata Desert again. I might be able to find a solution to Xiaoka's fainting problem there. That's where House Yu is. Lingshan nodded, not saying anything else. After all, Linny had something important to do. Shu, on the other hand, wasn't too willing to go with Linny, but she knew that Linny had to take care of her. Alright, Shield Bro, we'll take good care of Xiaoka sis. Yeah. Linny was worried that Shu would follow him, but he didn't expect her to be so understanding and easy to talk to. Lingshan, Yushu, and Xinyan brought Xiaoka to a car provided by House Tang. It was the Land Rover Land Cruiser, while Linny drove the Grand Cherokee. Linny didn't bring you Xiaoka because Udake said that he was saved with the help of a miracle doctor. If they didn't find the miracle doctor, then there was no point in bringing you Xiaoka. Plus, the miracle doctor might not even be in this world anymore. Lin Yi's main goal was to find a solution, or find the miracle doctor's heir. Chapter 3405. Linny didn't think that he'd be going to Hakonamata Desert again in such a short amount of time. The car sped all the way, and it didn't take long for them to reach the highway in Pengbei City. Donghai was quite close, and Linny saw Xiao Xiao's Land Rover at the waiting area not far away. Linny honked twice and Dake nodded. The two headed towards Hakonamata Desert, one in front and one in the back. This was their second time going, and the two were familiar with the route. They finally reached the Yu house the next day. The place had returned to its usual peacefulness. After the Gu family left, they really didn't come back, and it seemed like they didn't dare to come back anymore. Their backer was killed by Lin Yi, so why would they dare to come back? Where's the ancestral hall? Let's go, Linny said. Okay. Dake was concerned about his sister's situation as well, and he brought Linny to a courtyard after a series of twists and turns. There was an ancient building in the courtyard, and this was most likely the ancestral hall of House U. Linny hadn't seen a real ancestral hall, but he'd seen similar ones on TV, and this place looked quite similar. But just as Dake was about to enter the ancestral hall, he stopped abruptly and his face changed. He pointed at a plaque in the ancestral hall, a little angry. Mr. Lin, look! Linny raised his head and saw the words Gu Family Ancestral Hall written on the plaque. This made Linny frown. What did this mean? Gu Family Ancestral Hall? Could it be that the memorial tablets here had all been replaced by the Gu families? At the thought, Linny rushed in, and as expected, all the tablets were Gu's. There were no U's, and this made Linny very annoyed. The Gu family had lived here for more than 10 years. He must have replaced all the tablets in the ancestral hall with his own. No one would worship someone else's tablet. Wasn't there something wrong with that? Moreover, Gu's son must have run away in a hurry and didn't have time to take these tablets with him, so he left them here. That Gu's son wasn't a filial person. Even if he thought of it, he probably wouldn't take it away. However, then where did the memorial tablets of the Yu family go? Back then, Linny had not paid attention to this. If he had known earlier, he would have asked his son Gu. Now he could only search for it himself. Yu Dake's face was also very gloomy. There were no Yu family members here. Where could he find the ancestral tablets? Mr. Lin, let's split up and look for it. Let's see if we've lost the tablet somewhere. Yu Dake could only say that he was trying to find it. After all, the tablet was likely to be lost by the Gu family, so it was definitely impossible to find it. Alright, that's the only way. However, let's go to the previous underground treasure vault to look for it. Maybe there's something there? Linny suggested. Okay. Yu Dake nodded. The Yu family's treasure vault was used as a warehouse by the Gu family. The last time they went there was to find Yu Xiaoka's Nuwa heaven mending technique. They didn't pay attention to other things. Maybe the tablets were inside. The two went to the warehouse. It was a mess. After the Gu family took over, there were a lot of things placed there. They didn't know what they were. The two went to the left and right and began to search for the tablets in the warehouse. It could be said that they overturned the chests and cabinets. The two tossed and turned from night to the next morning. However, to their disappointment, they couldn't find the tablets. It seemed that the Gu family didn't leave the tablets here. But thinking about it, it was understandable. After all, the Gu family didn't want to keep other people's tablets. However, it made Linny and Yu Dake a little depressed. Let's go to other places to look. Don't be discouraged. Both of them were practitioners. This level of physical exhaustion wasn't a problem. Thus, the two left the warehouse and began to search the house. From the moment the sun rose in the morning until the sun set, the sky was filled with stars. The two of them almost ran through the entire house, but they still couldn't find where the memorial tablet was thrown. If they guessed correctly, the Yu family tablet should have been thrown away. After all, the house had changed its name. Who would be willing to put other people's tablets here? How unlucky would that be? Sigh. Yu Dake sighed. I don't know where the Gu family went. There's no one to ask now. If they threw it away, there's no point asking them. If they didn't throw it away, we can find it. Linny patted Yu Dake's shoulder and comforted him. Let's go to the ancestral hall again. Maybe it's in a corner. Okay. Yu Dake thought that Linny was right, so he stood up and walked to the ancestral hall with Linny. Before, they didn't search the ancestral hall carefully, so they went back at this time. The ancestral hall also had electric lights. Although the house was antique, it had already been integrated with modern civilization. The two began to search in the ancestral hall, but after searching for a long time, they didn't find anything. After all, the ancestral hall wasn't big, and there weren't many things in it. Everything was clear at a glance. Yu Dake sighed and sat on the ground helplessly. Dake, I want to ask you. You said that the ancestor's life log is behind the tablets? Linny suddenly thought of a very important question. The tablets are so big. How long can a person's life log be? Can it be written on it? At most it can only be a few sentences, right? No. As Udake said this, he suddenly stood up and slapped his thigh. Yes, the life log is placed in the wooden trough directly below the tablets. As he said this, Udake quickly ran in front of a tablet and reached out to knock it to the ground. Then he dug a few times under the tablet. The wooden trough under the tablet opened like a mechanism. After removing the small cover on top, there was a space below, and in the space there was a book that looked like a small booklet. On the booklet, the words Yu Dangtian were written. Yu Dangtian, this was obviously a member of the Yu family. This explained a problem, that was, the Gu family didn't find a small mechanism under the tablet to place the life log. They only threw the tablet on top, but they didn't find the life log in the secret compartment below. Chapter 3406. Udake quickly went to open other hidden compartments, and Lin Yi started helping as well. Who would have thought that there would be an unexpected turn of events? The two of them worked together. Soon, all the hidden compartments were opened. The life log of the Yu family's ancestor was taken out. Udake held it in his hand and began to carefully search for the name of his ancestor. Yu Haitang found. Udake carefully picked up Yu Haitang's journal and quickly flipped through it. Lin Yi, on the other hand, came over. Soon Udake found the cause and effect of Yu Haitang's fainting and the treatment. It turned out that Yu Haitang had helped her brother defend against an attack in a sparring match, and her mind was depleted, causing her to fall into a coma. After that, the Yu family saw many doctors and took many elixirs, but there was no effect. In the end, they were introduced to the doctor, Zhang Liju, and Zhang Liju used some unknown method to wake Yu Haitang up and make her normal again. This made the Yu family very grateful. But what disappointed Lin Yi and Udake was that there was no mention of the treatment process. They could only see that Zhang Liju had treated Yu Haitang, but as for the method, they didn't know at all. Zhang Liju. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He thought that even if he couldn't find the miracle doctor to treat Yu Haitang, he should be able to find his successor, but now Zhang Liju's successor was him. How was he supposed to treat her? However, the only thing that made Lin Yi think was that when he went to the tomb last time someone came. At that time Lin Yi guessed that Zhang Liju might have come back, which meant that Zhang Liju probably didn't die, but went to Sky-class Island and ascended to Heavenly Dao. But even if Zhang Liju was alive, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to contact him. This person had gone to Sky-class Island. How was Lin Yi going to find him? Did he have to go to Sky-class Island? But now, even Patriarch Xianchen wasn't sure how to go to Heaven Stage Island. Not to mention Lin Yi himself. Other than that, Lin Yi had another hope, which was that he had Zhang Liju's medical notes. Lin Yi looked at the notes for a while before giving a copy to Lin Dongfang. He hoped that Zhang Liju could write this case down in his medical notes. Mr. Lin. This Zhang Liju, wasn't he said to be dead? Dake's face was pale. He knew about Zhang Liju's tomb, and he also knew that Lin Yi and Yu Xiao had pledged their love in that tomb. Since he was already dead, how could he be saved? I have Mr. Zhang Liju's medical notes. I'll make a call and let the old man at home. That's my god-grandfather. See if there's any medical records of Yu Haitang. Lin Yi said. Ah, that's great. Mr. Lin, please make the call. Udake quickly said. Before, Lin Yi had asked old Lin about it, but old Lin wasn't very clear about it. If he were to search for information, he probably wouldn't be able to find Zhang Liju in such a short amount of time, but now he had a target. That would be much more convenient. Not long after the call connected, old Lin's voice came through the phone. You're back. I didn't go back. I went to the Yu family in the Hakanamata desert. Lin Yi suddenly remembered that he didn't go back, nor did he tell old Lin about it, so he quickly explained the reason. I see then. Have you found the reason for Yu Xiao's coma and the solution? Old Lin asked. I haven't found a good solution yet. I found it, but I don't have any specific details. I only know that for now. It's caused by the depletion of spiritual energy, but there's no mention of how to fix it or how to treat it. Lin Yi said. The only thing I know is that the miracle doctor Zhang Liju treated her before, and it was successful. So, old man, why don't you take a look at Mr. Zhang Liju's medical notes and see if there's anything about this? Alright, I'll take a look. Old Lin nodded. Alright, let's do this for now. Contact me when you find it, Lin Yi said. Udake, on the other hand, had organized all the life logs of the Yu ancestors. He was going to bring them back with him, not staying here any longer. He and Linny packed up and left the mansion. There was nothing left here, so there was no point in staying here. Mr. Lin, are you going to find that poison lab? Udake was surprised when he heard Linny say that he was going to find his comrades. We've lived here for so many years, and we've never heard of any poison lab around here? Maybe it was just built these few years and you guys have already left. Linny shook his head. Let's ask the Bubbly clan about this. Who knows, they might know better. Alright, then we'll go to the Bubbly clan now. Udake nodded. You want to come with me? Linny wanted Udake to go back, but he didn't expect him to follow. Yeah, let's go together. Let's see if we can help. Although my strength is lower, and I haven't broken through to Sky Class yet, it's always good to have someone to help. Udake said. Linny nodded and didn't reject. The two only drove one car this time, which was Linny's Grand Cherokee. The Land Rover was temporarily left in the mansion. There was no need to drive two cars. This time the two of them went to the Bubbly clan. It could be said that they were familiar with the route and easily reached the Bubbly clan. But the one who stopped them was Tortu. But when Tortu saw Linny and Udake, he immediately became enthusiastic. Turns out it's young hero Lin and young hero Yu. Did you come to take away some energy stones? I'm not taking away energy stones this time. There's no need to worry about energy stones for the time being. I have something to ask you. Linny waved his hand. Do you know that there's a poison lab in the Hakanamata Desert? Poison lab? Tortu froze and his expression slightly changed. Young hero Lin, I wonder. Why are you asking about this? Linny's heart sank when he saw Tortu's expression. Could it be that the Bubbly clan is related to the poison lab? If that's the case, wouldn't there be some resistance if I go to the poison lab? Chapter 3407. So that's what it is. Tortu's face suddenly relaxed. I thought it was something important. This is not a problem, young hero Lin. You can rest assured I can't guarantee anything else, but for this matter, we can help you get someone back. That's good, thanks for the trouble. Listening to Tortu's tone, Linny knew that this poison refining base must have something to do with the Bubbly clan, otherwise, Tortu wouldn't be so arrogant. No problem. Young hero Lin, you and young hero you stay here and rest first, then tell me who you are looking for and what he looks like. Just wait for my news, Tortu said while patting his chest. That's good. Linny didn't refuse. He parked the car with Udake and entered the Bubbly clan's residence. Linny and Udake walked into the Bubbly clan's residence. Not long after, Thorimun came to Linny and said enthusiastically, Young hero Lin, you came. I heard from Tortu that you are looking for your friend. Don't worry, we will help you with this matter. You don't have to worry, tell me your friend's name, and best if there is a photo. Then I will have to trouble old patriarch Thor. His name is Ingjia. I will send the photo to you. Please give me your email address. Linny nodded. He doesn't have the mind to care about the relationship between the Bubbly clan and the poison refining base, as long as he can find the pangolin. Okay, thank you for your understanding, young hero Lin. Thorimun said and gave his email address. Then Linny sent the pangolin's photo to him. Thorimun nodded and went to work, while Linny and Udake rested in the room. After Thorimun left, Udake lowered his voice and said, Mr. Lin, it seems that there is something fishy going on between the poison refining base and the Bubbly clan. That's for sure, otherwise they wouldn't be able to do it. Linny smiled and said faintly, but with their help it will save us a lot of trouble. That's true, then we will wait for the news. Udake nodded. At night, the patriarch of Pauli clan, Thor Ryu, invited Linny and Udake to a banquet. They treated Linny as a distinguished guest. After all, having a good relationship with a formidable person like Linny would only bring benefits and no harm to the Bubbly clan. Young hero Lin, don't worry. I've already talked to the poison refining base. The person in charge said that he had an impression of it. And the people in this base are all Asian, so they must be here. Thorimun raised his glass and said, so young hero Lin can just wait patiently. He still has to give you face. Thank you. I'll wait. Linny also raised his glass. Because the goal was achieved, the dinner was very harmonious. Over here, the person in charge of the poison refining base was called Lu Tianqi. He was considered a small leader. Of course, he was not as well off as Brother Dafeng. Although they were both feudal lords, Lu Tianqi led a group of biohumans, which was incomparable to Brother Dafeng. Today, the patriarch of the Paoli clan, Thor Rimun, called him. He said that he wanted to take a person away, but he didn't take it seriously. After all, the place he was at belonged to the Paoli clan's sphere of influence. If he wanted to refine poison in peace, he couldn't avoid the Paoli clan. In order to seek peace, they paid a huge amount of money to the Paoli clan every year. And the Paoli clan wouldn't cause any trouble for him. If other forces came, the Paoli clan would also help to protect them. After all, the profit of refining poison was too high. Many aristocratic families, hidden aristocratic families, and sects coveted it. Without a powerful umbrella, the profit wouldn't be enough for these people. That was why the Bubbles clan had come to Lin Yi's aid when he was looking for someone. However, when Lu Qitian pulled out Ing Zijia's file, he was shocked. He thought that the Paoli clan was looking for him because he was someone who had just been captured by the poison refining base. Otherwise, why would they not look for him after so many years? However, this Ing Zijia was not only captured many years ago. His identity was also quite special. He was a special agent of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, and he used the first batch of biohuman potions. There was no antidote for this kind of potion. It would destroy the person's mind and divine sense, and they could only rely on hypnosis to move. To put it bluntly, they were like walking corpses. However, the later potions were improved and had an antidote. Although they were hypnotized, they could still recover as long as they retained their mind. Of course, even if they could recover, Ing Zijia's identity as a special agent of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau couldn't be easily released. This was an important person that the headquarters had specially instructed. He didn't dare to release him without permission. Therefore, after hesitating again and again, he still called Thor Rimun back. When Thor Rimun saw that it was Lu Qitian's call, he picked up the phone in front of Lin Yi. "Hello, Mr. Lu. How is it? Have you found the person I'm looking for?" "Patriarch Thor, I'm sorry. I don't have the person you're looking for here. Is there a mistake? I don't have any impression at all," Lu Qitian said. "No. How is that possible? Didn't you tell me before that you had an impression of him?" Thor Rimun's face suddenly changed. "You patted your chest and promised me before that there would be no problem. What do you mean now? Do you think I'm easy to fool?" It was no wonder that Thor Rimun was angry. He had repeatedly assured Lin Yi that there would be no problem. Now that he had boasted about it, but Lin Yi didn't get it done, where would Thor Rimun put his face? It was like slapping himself in the face. Truth be told, Lu Qitian didn't dare to offend the Bubbly clan. If it weren't for the Bubbly clan's protection all these years in the Hakanamada desert, Lu Qitian would have been overwhelmed long ago if those big families and sects came to take advantage of him. However, he really had no way to deal with this matter. Hearing Thor Rimun's question, he knew that he couldn't hide it anymore. He could only lower his voice and remind him. "Patriarch Thor, is there anyone around you? There are some words that I want to talk to you in private." "There's no one, just say it." Thor Rimun couldn't get up and leave at this moment. If he left, it would seem that he had something to hide from Lin Yi. He could only bite the bullet and sit here. "It's like this. Patriarch Thor, the person you asked me to find has a special identity," Lu Qitian said carefully. "His file is locked by the headquarters. I can't let him go without authorization." "What do you mean?" Thor Rimun asked. Chapter 3408. What? Thor Ryu was stunned. He knew about the Supernatural Investigation Bureau and knew that the poison base belonged to the Red Conches. However, this was a foreign land, and the Supernatural Investigation Bureau couldn't control this place. Therefore, the Bubbly clan and the Supernatural Investigation Bureau didn't have much interaction. Yes, so if we let him out, you won't be happy if he turns into a demented biohuman. But if he returns to normal, the secret of the Red Conches will be leaked. At this point, Lu Qitian paused for a moment before continuing. Moreover, this person was captured a few years ago using the first batch of biohuman medicine. He can't recover without the antidote, so please don't make things difficult for me. I'm in the wrong here. How about we increase the tribute by 10% today? Every year, the poison base gave a lot of protection fees to the Bubbly clan. A 10% increase was a lot. It was obvious that Lu Qitian was in a difficult position. He couldn't afford to offend Thor Ryu. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so humble. I see. Thor Ryu hesitated for a moment and said, "This is what someone asked me to do. I'll ask again." "Okay, please understand, Patriarch Thor," Lu Qitian quickly said. After hanging up the phone, Thor Ryu's expression was extremely ugly, but he turned to look at Lin Yi apologetically. "Young hero Lin, you must have heard the reason on the phone. What do you think?" "I want to ask, how much does this poison base have to do with the Bubbly clan?" Lin Yi didn't answer directly, but asked a question instead. "This." Thor Ryu hesitated for a moment and said, "We are the local bullies in the Hakanamata Desert. If he is here, he must seek our protection. If we don't do anything, many sects and families will come here every year to take advantage of us. Therefore, he pays us a large amount of protection fees every year. But that's all. The Bubbly clan won't participate in these things." "Okay, in that case, if this poison base is gone, what will you do?" Lin Yi said and looked at Thor Ryu. "This." Thor Ryu didn't expect Lin Yi to be so ruthless. He actually said that he wanted the poison refinery to disappear. "Don't you think this is a little too much? The Red Conch is behind that poison refining base. If you go against them, I'm just asking you, if I want this place to disappear, what will you say?" Lin Yi asked word by word. "Hey young hero Lin. You also know that this poison refining base pays a lot of tribute to us every year. If it suddenly disappears..." Thor Ryu was really distressed. "2 lives." Lin Yi raised his hand and raised 2 fingers as he lightly said, "No matter how heavily injured your Bubbly clan is, you will never be able to escape. As long as he's hanging on to a single breath, I'll make him recover to his original state." "When do we do it?" Thor Ryu had a bitter expression just now, but at this moment, he stood up excitedly and asked. The difference between before and after made Yu Dake speechless. Just now he said that he didn't want his income to disappear, and in the blink of an eye, he wants to help Lin Yi. However, Thor Ryu didn't care at all. Instead, he was very excited. The other members of the Bubbly clan were also very excited. Lin Yi's promise was much more important than the money Red Conch gave him. No matter how much money you had, you couldn't trade it for your life, especially for these top-level practitioners. Even if they used treasures to keep their lives, they wouldn't be able to survive. But his strength was gone. Therefore, Lin Yi's promise not to mention money, even if he gave the poison refining base to the Bubbly clan, they wouldn't be tempted. Thor Ryu wouldn't be tempted. "Don't worry. I'll go to the poison refining base to investigate and find my friend. After that, we'll destroy the poison refining base," Lin Yi said with a wave of his hand. "I'm afraid that they'll kill my friend or move him to another place if we just go in and kill them." "That's right," Lin Yi said. "That's right, young hero Lin is very thoughtful." Thor Ryu nodded and said, "All right, young hero Lin. I'll wait for your signal. If you encounter any danger, we'll rush in immediately." "Thank you, old Patriarch Thor." Lin Yi nodded. "What are you talking about? It's what I should do." Thor Ryu smiled and shook his head. "Well, I'll prepare," Lin Yi said with satisfaction. "Mr. Lin, can I go with you?" Yu Dake asked. "No, wait for my signal, I'll contact you." Lin Yi made a phone call gesture. "Well, Mr. Lin, be careful." Although Thor Ryu didn't know how Lin Yi wanted to investigate, he didn't ask too much at the moment. If he asked too much, it would seem like he was going to inform Lu Qitian. In fact, he really didn't mean that. He was just concerned about Lin Yi. After the dinner with the Paoli clan, Lin Yi asked for the address of the poison refining base and went there alone. The poison refining base was located in the vast desert. If one didn't have the exact coordinates, it would be really difficult to find. Lin Yi quickly found the poison refining base by relying on satellite positioning. It was a place similar to a prison, with towering walls, gloomy iron gates, and no signs or buildings around it. Even from a distance, one would think it was a mirage. Lin Yi parked the car behind a small sand dune in the distance, recorded the coordinates, then got out of the car, put on the thousand silk mask, and walked towards the gloomy poison refining base. Lin Yi appeared at the door of the poison refining base. He reached out and knocked on the iron gate several times. In fact, even if Lin Yi didn't knock on the door, The people inside saw Lin Yi's arrival at the door through the surveillance. Two big men in cowboy clothes quickly appeared at the iron gate of the poison refining base. They were obviously a little puzzled by the sudden appearance of Lin Yi. What was this person doing? I heard that this is an illegal poison refining base? Lin Yi said as he knocked on the iron gate. Who are you? Where did you come from? What do you do? The two big men were a little wary of Lin Yi's question. They didn't confirm or deny it. You don't need to know where I'm from. People call me the Great Bandit. I'm here to get some money to spend. Lin Yi said with a cold smile as he kicked the door open. Chapter 3409. Ha 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 ha. The other burly man heard Lin Yi's words and laughed loudly, as if this was a very funny matter. Although there had been people who came to the base to cause trouble before, those people were either captured by the experts of the base to make drugs, or they were hard to deal with but were chased away by the Bubbly clan. However, those people always came in groups. It was rare to see a person like Lin Yi come alone. What are you laughing at? What's so funny? Is it that if I don't show a bit of my strength, you won't know that there's always someone better out there? Lin Yi said as he revealed the strength of an Earth Class early phase. He suppressed his strength to Earth Class early phase, so the two burly men didn't realize that Lin Yi was actually a Sky Class mid-phase master. That's all you've got? The two burly men saw Lin Yi's strength and were a bit confused. From their point of view, anyone who dared to come here to cause trouble must have some strength, at least a Sky Class master. But Lin Yi was just a small Earth Class early phase, and yet he was so strong the ignorant were truly fearless. What do you mean by that? Don't you know that in the mortal world, an Earth Class master is already a very powerful existence? I don't even see a Golden Class or Mystic Class master. Lin Yi said very fiercely. The two burly men were a bit speechless. Where did this rogue cultivator come from? Hadn't he heard of hidden families or ancient sects? And an Earth Class was a very powerful existence? They were indeed a very powerful existence among the rogue cultivators, but in the ancient world, they were just small fries, and the two of them were only Sky Class early phase masters. However, after knowing Lin Yi's strength, the two of them immediately looked at each other, and suddenly blocked Lin Yi's way from the left and right. What are you doing? Don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Yi immediately cried out in alarm. Hey kid, you're just an Earth Class early phase and you're trying to act tough in front of us? You really don't know how high the sky is and how deep the earth is. Saying that, the two burly men also revealed the strength of the early stage of heaven rank. Brat, if you don't want to die, then be obedient and don't move. Otherwise, I will make your death worthwhile. The so-called valuable death was to kill Lin Yi and send his corpse to those professors for research. You guys are actually heaven rank experts. How could this be? Wasn't this just a drug production base for a criminal organization? How could there be such a powerful expert here? Lin Yi was shocked. Humph. I'm not afraid to tell you that we are an internationally famous criminal organization. We have a lot of heaven rank experts. Of course, many of them were just to scare Lin Yi. In fact, there were not many of them. They were the only ones in this poison refining base, and even Lu Qiqian was not a heaven-ranked expert. I'm sorry, I'm just passing by. I'm leaving, quickly let me go. Lin Yi was trembling in fear and quickly said. You want to leave now? Sorry, it's too late. The burly man said coldly. Since you're here, then stay here. No, you can't do this. My companions know that I'm here, they'll come looking for me. I'm not alone. Lin Yi shouted. Oh, that's good. Let's catch them when they come. The burly man said lightly. Lin Yi was only an Earth Class early phase expert. How powerful could his companions be? Let me go, I'm very powerful. Lin Yi shouted. But he had already achieved his goal, and that was to sneak into the poison refining base. There was no other way as simple as this. Although Lin Yi's strength was superb, the place was heavily guarded. There were guards and cameras everywhere. It was not easy for Lin Yi to enter. Moreover, he had to hide his identity after entering and could not show his face. It would be even more difficult to investigate. But now that Lin Yi had been caught, they could openly investigate. Since these people had caught the pangolin to refine poison, then Lin Yi would come to their door and let them catch him. And sure enough, they caught Lin Yi. He was escorted into the poison refining base on both sides. Soon, a burly man went to report to Lu Qiqian. But Lu Qiqian had no interest in a small fry in the Earth-class early phase who came here to cause trouble. He let the two burly men send Lin Yi to be modified into a biohuman. Lin Yi was directly brought to a place that looked like a laboratory in the poison refining base. The person who received Lin Yi was a middle-aged man in a white coat. The burly man in black who did not go to report pushed Lin Yi to a chair and asked sternly, "Kid, what's your name?" "Lin Yi, what's wrong? Are you afraid now? Starting to investigate my background?" Lin Yi pretended to be arrogant as he asked. "Haha." The burly man immediately laughed. "Lin Yi, right? What kind of stupid name is that? I've never heard of it. From today onwards, your name is 9527. This will be your lifetime codename here, and it will never change." 9527. Lin Yi was stunned. This number was quite auspicious. Find all the mobile devices on his body and shackle him with handcuffs and leg cuffs. I'm going to modify him. The white coat said lightly. "Okay, doctor." The burly man nodded and began to search Lin Yi's body. After searching for a long time, he did not find anything like a mobile phone. He only found a pill bottle with a small Huan pill. What kind of stupid thing is this? He threw it back to Lin Yi. He was not even interested in taking it. 9527, where's your phone number? Why do we cultivators need a phone number? Lin Yi was stunned. I didn't expect him to be poor. Give him an injection. As the burly man said this, he took out the shackles and handcuffed Lin Yi to the chair so that he could not move. This chair was made of fine steel and dark steel. Ordinary cultivators could not break free at all. Therefore, after the burly man handcuffed Lin Yi, he leisurely went to the side to rest. This time it was the doctor's turn to start modifying Lin Yi. What is this? Oh my god, I heard that the people here will be modified into biohumans. Am I the same? Lin Yi exclaimed. Biohumans are old news. This is the latest medicine. It will allow you to maintain your will, but it will overdraft your physical strength when you work, the doctor said faintly. It will make it easier to manage if you have your own will. If you want to survive here, you must be obedient and work more. Only those who work more will give you food to eat. Chapter 34:10. In addition, there is poison in this potion. If you don't inject the antidote within a month, you will lose your self-consciousness forever and become a walking biohuman puppet. Ah, so bitter. Lin Yi couldn't help but look bitter after listening. Who asked you to break in without knowing your limits? You deserve it. Accept your fate. The doctor said indifferently and inserted a syringe into Lin Yi's arm. As the syringe was slowly pushed in, Lin Yi couldn't help but scream. In fact, the potion wasn't injected into Lin Yi's body at all. Instead, it was transferred by Lin Yi to the jade space when it was in the needle. This needle. Will there be any adverse reaction after I inject it? Although Lin Yi slowly transferred the potion into the jade space, Lin Yi was still worried. If there was any reaction after the injection and he didn't show it, wouldn't it cause these people's suspicion? This kind of high-level potion won't have any reaction. Besides being more capable than a normal Earth stage master, you only need to inject the antidote once a month. That's good. Lin Yi seemed to have accepted his fate and lowered his head. I really shouldn't have come in the first place. There are many people who regret their actions. The doctor pulled out the syringe and said to the big man, Okay, take him away. We will start work tomorrow. Okay, doctor. After the big man finished, he unlocked the handcuffs and shackles on Lin Yi and took him out. Lin Yi was silent along the way and didn't resist. The big man didn't communicate anything with him. All the way to the door of a dormitory, Lin Yi was directly pushed in by the big man. The room was a 4-person room. On the bed in the room there were 3 people sitting. After the big man pushed Lin Yi in, he left. Lin Yi looked around. In the 4-person room there were 3 people sitting on the bed. Only the bed near the door was empty. Lin Yi walked towards that bed. Kid, you're pretty good. What level of master are you? Hurry up and report. On the bed opposite Lin Yi, a man with a flat top said. Lin Yi looked at him. He was just a mid-earth class master. This kind of trash was nothing in Lin Yi's eyes. Damn, I'm talking to you. Didn't you hear me? Kid, I'm telling you. If you don't want to work every day, then hurry up and greet our boss. This is our boss here, Meng Gaohai. The flat-top man saw that Lin Yi ignored him and suddenly became angry. He stood up and walked towards Lin Yi and pointed to a man with long hair who was leaning against the window. Lin Yi coldly glanced at the man named Meng Gaohai. He was an early Earth class master. He really couldn't be underestimated. What Lin Yi didn't expect was that there was an early Earth class master here. He didn't know how he got caught, but this had nothing to do with Lin Yi. Lin Yi's purpose here was to find the pangolin. He couldn't be bothered with other people. So Lin Yi only took a glance and laid down on the bed. "Fuck, kid, are you looking to die?" The flat-top man saw that Lin Yi was still ignoring him. He immediately became angry and revealed his mid-Earth class strength. "Well, I actually didn't want you to die. But since you want to, I can only satisfy you. I'm already unhappy enough that I was caught. If you provoke me again, don't blame me for being impolite." Lin Yi looked at the flat-top man and said lightly, "Ha!" The flat-top man acted like he heard a funny joke and tried to grab at Lin Yi. But before he could touch Lin Yi directly used the first style of the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm. The first style of the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm. Lin Yi hadn't used the first style in a long time, but it was enough to deal with such a low-level master. Boom dash! The flat-top man immediately screamed and flew backwards. He fell to the ground with a loud bang and couldn't move at all. The people at the base didn't care about this kind of fight between practitioners. It didn't matter if there was one more or one less. These people were also arrogant and unruly. It was difficult to use high-pressure policies to control them. How is this possible? An early Earth class master? How could he hurt Fanzi? The long-haired man, Meng Gaohai, finally took Lin Yi seriously. He stood up and revealed his early Earth class strength. "But kid, no matter how strong you are against me, you're still an existence that can take a beating. Early Earth class? I'm sorry, I've beaten a lot of Heaven class masters. You're the weakest one," Lin Yi said lightly. Since he made a move, Lin Yi suddenly changed his mind. Before, he had the mentality of a lone hero and investigated the pangolin by himself. But now it seemed like he couldn't. These people didn't have any intention of letting him go. But since they didn't let him go, then he'd beat them into submission. It just so happened that Lin Yi wanted to find some people to ask for information tomorrow. Of course, if he wanted to get the information he needed, he would have to pay some benefits. But now, these people didn't even need to pay any benefits. He just needed to use his strength to subdue them and make them do things for him. This Meng Gaohai was an early Earth class master and the boss here. Then he was probably a person whose words carried weight. With him here, it would save a lot of trouble. Of course, Lin Yi didn't need him to obey him wholeheartedly. As long as he was forced to submit, it would be fine. Anyway, Lin Yi didn't intend to take them as his underlings. In the world of cultivation, the strong were respected. It was the same everywhere. So as long as Lin Yi subdued Meng Gaohai, everything would be fine. Haha! Meng Gaohai laughed loudly. "Just an early Earth class, but you talk big. Have you seen a Heaven class master before? If you're really that strong, why would you be caught and brought here?" Fiery 8 trigrams palm 6th form. Lin Yi waved his hand and slapped Meng Gaohai's body. Lin Yi didn't want to talk to him anymore. It was useless to say anything. Only strength mattered. With Lin Yi's speed, it would be easy to kill him. It was just that Lin Yi didn't want to kill him. Meng Gaohai was still laughing when he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His whole body was sent flying. Luckily, Lin Yi had some leeway, so he didn't die on the spot. Meng Gaohai fell to the ground and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Panting, he said, You're not an early Earth class. You hid your strength." Chapter 34:11. This was not Lin Yi bragging. If little one were to be released, these people would not be able to stand up to him at all. "Then come here, cough cough." While speaking, Meng Gaohai spat out a few more mouthfuls of blood. Although Lin Yi had left some leeway, he was still a Heaven stage early stage expert. As he spoke, he was already a little weak. Seeing Meng Gaohai's appearance, the other people in the dormitory were also shocked, especially the crew cut. He regretted going to Lin Yi before. "You're dying. I'll give you a choice. Help me and I will cure you, or wait for death here." Lin Yi glanced at Meng Gaohai and said faintly, "If you can cure me, I will definitely surrender." Meng Gaohai knew how serious his injuries were. He was about to die. Did he have a choice? Although he could not get out of the poison refining base and was refining poison every day, who would be willing to die? Especially since he was the boss here. With someone supporting him, he would live a comfortable life and would not want to die. Now, although he had to surrender to Lin Yi, he would still be above tens of thousands of people. He was also a very powerful existence. Therefore, he agreed without hesitation. Okay. Lin Yi nodded, then glanced at the crew cut and said to him, "You come here too. Your boss has surrendered. You don't want to stubbornly resist me and wait for death, do you?" No, Boss 9527. We will listen to you in the future. The crew cut's injury was not particularly serious, but it was not good either. He quickly crawled over and expressed his loyalty to Lin Yi. Meng Gaohai did not care. He had already surrendered himself. How could he expect his younger brother to be loyal to him? "Then I will save your lives." After Lin Yi said that, he activated the art of dragon mastery, and then healed the injuries of Meng Gaohai and the crew cut. Although Lin Yi said before that he could cure them, Meng Gaohai and the crew cut didn't believe it. After all, their injuries were very serious. The small rejuvenation pill was useless. They had to take the great rejuvenation pill. If Lin Yi had the great cyclic pill, it was impossible that it hadn't been taken away when he came in. Therefore, they just had the thought of giving it a try, but they didn't expect that Lin Yi actually didn't give them medicinal pills, but used true qi to heal their injuries. This was simply too magical. Feeling the injuries in their bodies recovering bit by bit, they admired and revered Lin Yi. It came from the bottom of his heart. This was how the world of cultivation worked. The strong were revered. If one was only a little stronger, they might hate them in their hearts and think of ways to surpass them. However, if it was too much stronger, it was already beyond imagination, so there was nothing to hate. Since he couldn't surpass it, he might as well obediently submit. Their injuries healed very quickly. Lin Yi glanced at them and said, "Now all of you have recovered. You can also choose to pretend to submit, and then secretly go and tell the people in the poison refining base that I'm just hiding my strength." "I wouldn't dare." Meng Gaohai quickly shook his head and said, "I, Meng Gaohai, am not a treacherous villain, and I'm not a brainless fool. Boss 9527, since you're so powerful that you could seriously injure me with one move, dealing with a few guards in this poison refining base should be a piece of cake. When the time comes, you'll definitely take care of me as well. Unless there's something wrong with me, I won't do that." "It seems that you're quite clear about this?" Meng Gaohai's answer surprised Lin Yi. What he was most worried about was that these people would not work and go and tell on him, ruining his plan. Although he wasn't afraid of the people in this poison refining base, these people definitely wouldn't be able to keep him here. However, his purpose here was to find the pangolin, so it was better to keep a low profile. However, after thinking about it carefully, it seemed that this Meng Gaohai was really afraid. Lin Yi didn't say anything more. "Yeah, Boss 9527, you must have a purpose for coming here, right? If there's anything, just call me, your little brother, to do it. Not to mention anything else, I still have some power here," Meng Gaohai said quickly. What he was most afraid of was that Lin Yi couldn't use him. If Lin Yi really couldn't use him, what if Lin Yi killed him? "Well, do you know where the first batch of biohumans live?" Lin Yi asked. "The first batch of biohumans? Oh boss, you're talking about those walking dead. They're not here, but in another dormitory building," Meng Gaohai said. "So, we don't have any interaction with them?" Lin Yi couldn't help but frown after listening. "That's not it." Meng Gaohai saw Lin Yi frown, so he immediately said, "Our daily work areas are still very close to each other." "Very close? Then can we go over?" Lin Yi asked with some anticipation after listening. "That's not possible." Meng Gaohai shook his head and said, "The work areas are not together, but I can go over sometimes." "Oh, why do you say that?" Lin Yi asked. "Aren't I the boss here? Some cyborgs are also very powerful. Because the initial medicine is not perfect, if these cyborgs are not hypnotized well, they might go crazy. I will cooperate with them to suppress them. Correspondingly, this place will also give me some special privileges." Meng Gaohai explained. "Boss, if you have anything to do, I will find an opportunity to do it." "Oh, if that's the case, then take a look at this photo." As Lin Yi said this, he took out the mobile phone from the space in the jade pendant. It was like he took it out from his arms, which made Meng Gaohai stunned. Linny came here and he actually brought a mobile phone with him? Weren't they all taken away? Mine were taken away in the beginning. However, in his opinion, Linny had already been classified as an extraordinary person. It was reasonable for him to be a little more powerful than others. Thinking of this, Meng Gaohai quickly looked at the photo in Linny's hand carefully. Looking at the photo, Meng Gaohai couldn't help but reminisce. After a while, Meng Gaohai said, I seem to have some impression of this person. Because he went crazy, I was the one who suppressed him. Oh, are you sure? Lin Yi's breathing suddenly became rapid. He turned his head to look at Meng Gaohai and said anxiously, Take a closer look. There's no mistake, it's this person. Meng Gaohai nodded and said, I don't remember this person's name, but I remember that he should be a golden class master. However, after injecting the potion, when he goes crazy, he can reach mystic class or even earth class. That day, the 2 heaven class guards weren't there. They were afraid that he would hurt someone, so I went to suppress him. Then is he safe? Linny asked quickly. Chapter 34:12. Oh? Then I will leave this matter to you. If you do well, I will take you out. As for the biochemical poison in your body, I will find someone to help you get rid of it. The person Linny thought of was Big Brother Feng. Since Big Brother Feng was also a leader in the poison refining base, then he should more or less know something about biochemical potions. Maybe he also had the antidote formula or source. Really? Thank you so much, boss. Although living here was more comfortable, no one wanted to be used as a slave. Meng Gaohai was a heaven stage expert. He was a very proud existence. How could he not feel aggrieved when he was refining poison here every day? In the past, there was no other way. He was happy to be the boss here, but after a long time it was inevitable that he would get bored. It was just that there was no chance to go out. Now that Linny had promised him, it meant that Linny should have a way. In his eyes, Linny was a powerful person. Not only was he strong, but he also knew how to heal. So, it was not unrealistic that he could detoxify the poison. Thinking of this, Meng Gaohai was very excited. He secretly vowed to help Linny with this matter. Then, boss, can I go out with you? Crewcut asked carefully. And me? The underling who had been stunned before also returned to normal at this moment. He quickly followed and asked. The 3 of you come with me when the time comes. I can't manage so many people. Linny was not the kind of person who liked to meddle in other people's business. Although he had changed in the past year, that was only for people related to him and around him. Linny really didn't care about other people. Great, thank you. Boss 9527. Crewcut and the naive underling quickly thanked him. Don't thank him first. See if he has any use for you. Linny waved his hand and pointed to Meng Gaohai. I can really use you. Meng Gaohai thought about it and hesitated for a moment. How about this? Tomorrow you will suffer a little. Provoke those hypnotized biohumans and let them beat you up. I will stand up for you. Then it will be justifiable. No problem. Crewcut and dumb little brother agreed without hesitation. Not to mention being beaten up, they didn't mind even if they were beaten half to death. Didn't you see how Boss 9527 healed his injuries in an instant? That's good. Let's do it tomorrow, and so on and so forth. Meng Gaohai said his plan. Linny listened to it. Although it was simple, it was really feasible. It could be seen that Meng Gaohai was also a person with a plan. He had found the right person. The night passed in silence. Meng Gaohai, the crewcut, and the little bro were all very respectful towards Linny. And Linny learned their names and nicknames. Early the next morning, a loud and clear horn sounded. This was the reveille signal for the poison refinery base. Of course, it was meant for laborers like them. Those cyborgs had been hypnotized. When it was time, they would automatically wake up and head to the work area. Boss, shall we go together? Meng Gaohai carefully asked Linny. Well, when we're outside, you're still the boss. I'll call you boss and you can just call me Little E, Linny said. This? Okay. Meng Gaohai hesitated for a moment, then nodded in fear and trepidation. He also knew that if Linny suddenly became his boss, it would inevitably attract some unnecessary attention. It was better to keep a low profile. The 4 of them left the dormitory together. Linny, crewcut, and dumb little brother followed behind. They had become followers just like them. When some people saw Lin Yi's new face, they did not pay much attention to it. Since Meng Gaohai had brought him along and did not bully him too much, it meant that this person was already Meng Gaohai's little brother. No one would cause trouble for him. Along the way to the work area, a pungent smell assaulted their nostrils. It was steaming hot and something was being refined. Lin Yi could tell from the smell that they were refining methamphetamine. It seemed that this drug refining area was not refining drugs but chemical drugs. After entering the work area, Lin Yi learned from the others and began to work. At this time, Crew Cut and Dumb Little Brother were nowhere to be seen. However, these two people were Meng Gaohai's little brothers. Naturally, no one would question them. Meng Gaohai's authority was not just a matter of a day or two. Even the people who patrolled the drug refining base turned a blind eye to Meng Gaohai. After all, sometimes they had to rely on him to manage these prisoners. After working for a while in the work area, Lin Yi imitated what the others were doing. Fortunately, Meng Gaohai was there to take care of him, giving him a simple procedure. All he had to do was pick it up and put it down. Although Lin Yi was a heaven-ranked expert, there were too many biohumans here. It was impossible for Lin Yi to sense them one by one. After a while, Crew Cut and Dumb Little Brother came back. Both of their faces were full of injuries, and they walked with a limp. When they saw Meng Gaohai, they immediately cried, "Boss, when we went to the toilet, we passed by the biohuman's work area and were beaten up by a crazy biohuman." "What? Beaten up by a crazy biohuman? Tell me, what the hell is going on? What's going on? How dare they beat up my little brother?" Meng Gaohai was furious and said anxiously. Meng Gaohai was famous for being overbearing. Moreover, he had connections with the management of the drug refining base. Therefore, when Meng Gaohai was angry, the others did not think that there was anything wrong. When these people first came, many of them were beaten up by Meng Gaohai. At this time, a management of the drug refining base walked over. When he saw Meng Gaohai, he quickly comforted him. "Old Meng, that's enough. Why are you arguing with a mindless biohuman? When those people go crazy, there is no reason at all. If you get angry because of this, it's not worth it. It's fine if it's usually, but they beat up my little brother like this. If I don't do anything about it, what will others think? Especially this new little brother of mine. Yesterday, I patted my chest and promised that no one here would dare to bully him. Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, two of my little brothers would be beaten up like this? If I don't stand up for them, what will 9,527 think of my new little brother?" Meng Gaohai said as he pointed at Lin Yi. He was very agitated. Chapter 34:13. "Actually, it's easy. I'll ask them to point out to me which biohuman did it. Then we'll beat him up and forget about it." Meng Gaohai snorted. "This? All right." The manager hesitated for a moment, but he still nodded. However, he said, "Bring him out and bring him back to the dormitory to clean him up. Don't stay here. It's not a good influence and it'll also affect other people's work." "All right, don't worry. I'll give you face." Meng Gaohai pretended to give face and nodded. In fact, he was overjoyed deep down. He knew that it would not be good to teach others a lesson in the work area. The manager would definitely suggest that he bring the person out. He had experienced this a few times already. "Then you go. The rest of you continue with your work," the manager said to the others. "Xiaoyi, it's 9527. Come with me. I'll show you how much I can protect you as a boss." Meng Gaohai waved at Lin Yi, indicating that he should follow him. "Okay, boss." Lin Yi nodded. He put down the work in his hands and followed behind Meng Gaohai. Chapter 34:14. Since ancient times, no one who went to Sky Class Island had ever returned. This made Lin Yi feel no pressure towards those who were about to make it to the island. If they wanted to go, then go. Once it opens, I'll take the method to break through Sky's laws and bring my inheritor home. Whether or not they could break through Sky's laws depended on luck. Sky Class Island was rumored to be rich in spiritual energy, but compared to the Jade Space, Lin Yi felt that it definitely wasn't as good. Instead of going to the island, they might as well go home and train by themselves. Lin Yi didn't want to get involved so much. If those people all went up, even if they broke through Sky's laws before Lin Yi, they wouldn't be able to come back. Lin Yi was already a top master in the common world of practitioners. No one could shake Lin Yi's strength anymore. If he stayed in the common world of practitioners, Lin Yi could retire and continue living a rich life with the Miss and the others. But now for Yu Xiaoke, Lin Yi had to go to Sky-class Island because Zhang Liju was there. If he wanted Yu Xiaoke to wake up, Lin Yi would have to ask Zhang Liju for advice. This way, even if Lin Yi didn't want to go to the island, he would have to. He pulled out his phone and dialed Dafeng Bro's number as he came back to reality. There weren't even any guards in the dorm now. They were all working during the day, and even if Meng Gaohai brought people back, there wouldn't be anyone watching him. As long as they guarded the door and made sure no one could escape, it would be fine. Plus, these practitioners all relied on medicine and antidotes to survive. Who would dare leave on their own? They'd all seen those disobedient practitioners struggle and die in pain when their antidotes were cut off. So no one dared to do something as irrational as running away. Seeing Lin Yi take out his phone, Meng Gaohai, the crew head, and the little guy stood at the side respectfully. Hello? Who is this? Lin Yi was using a satellite phone, and Dafeng Bro didn't recognize the number. It's me, Lin Yi said faintly. Ah, you're boss Lin Yi. Why are you looking for me? Big Brother Feng asked in fear and trepidation. He already knew what happened in the Red Conch headquarters. The general manager was not an idiot. After retrieving the surveillance footage of the nearby streets, he locked onto Lin Yi. With the words of He Luan Duan from the Overseas Cultivators Association, he was even more certain that Lin Yi was the imposter. Then, after confirming what had happened in the country, he knew that this person was the one who had killed military counselor Zhuge. It could be said that the general manager hated him to the core. Did the things I did overseas get exposed? Lin Yi asked. The Red Conch HQ. Yeah. The general manager already knows that you did it, and he mentioned it to me. However, he also knows that I don't have any masters here, so he gave up and didn't continue to target you. Big Brother Feng quickly said. If he wants to make a move, I will inform you immediately. And I didn't call you this time mainly to talk about this. Let me ask you, do you have the antidote for the biohumans in the poison refining base? Asked Lin Yi. The antidote for biohumans? Boss Lin Yi, are you talking about the former biohumans or the later kind of semi-biological humans? Big Brother Feng asked quickly after listening. I want both, said Lin Yi. Although Meng Gaohai didn't know who the person on the phone was, he was relieved when he heard Lin Yi say that he wanted both. It seemed that Lin Yi hadn't forgotten about him. He was really afraid that Lin Yi would ignore him after the matter was done. Of course, he didn't dare to act rashly. After all, his strength was there, and he was no match for Lin Yi at all. The first kind of biohuman, that kind of injecting drug without any thoughts, has no antidote. Big Brother Feng said. That kind of drug destroys a person's mind, which is also called divine sense by us cultivators. It destroys the mind, makes the person lose their own thoughts, and can only be controlled through hypnosis. Big Brother Feng's words shocked Lin Yi. There was no antidote? Previously Lu Qiqian had vaguely mentioned it, and now that Big Brother Feng said so, there might really be no antidote. After all, Big Brother Feng was also the person in charge of the poison refining base. He knew more. Mine, divine sense. Wasn't that similar to Yu Xiaoke's situation? Yu Xiaoke had overexerted her divine sense and fainted, while Armadillo's divine sense was destroyed. Although the two were not the same, they were similar. At this thought, Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief. Perhaps Zhang Liju would have a way, right? What about the second kind of semi-biological humans? Lin Yi asked. There is an antidote for that. Although I don't know how to make the antidote and I don't know the formula, I still have some stock here. It can detoxify a small number of people, 8 to 10 is no problem, but if there are too many, I'll have to think of other ways, Big Brother Feng said directly. That's enough. Lin Yi nodded and looked at Meng Gaohai, then said, actually, even if you don't have it, you can apply to the headquarters. What do you mean? Boss Lin Yi? Big Brother Feng paused. I'm now at the poison refining base in Hakanamata Desert. I'll bring people to flatten this base, but there are 3 people here who are my lackeys, and they've helped me before. Let them follow you from now on, let them be your underlings. One of them is a Sky class early phase, he should be your helper. Lin Yi said. When the time comes when I attack this place, you bring some people over. You can just say that it was this Sky class who gave you the information. That way, both you and him will be considered meritorious. Even if you didn't save Lu Qitian's life, at least you did your best. As for the whereabouts of the biohumans in the poison refining base, it was not Lin Yi's concern. Big Brother Feng could take them wherever he wanted. It was not that Lin Yi did not want to save them, but he could not. A type of biohuman could not recover at all. Lin Yi still had a patient here, and the antidote for a type of biohuman was not enough. It was better to let Big Brother Feng continue to take them to do hard labor, which could be considered saving their lives. The Bubble Li clan would not be without income. "Okay, no problem. Thank you, Boss Lin Yi." Big Brother Feng immediately responded after hearing it. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yi looked at the excited Meng Gaohai and the other two and said lightly, "This is also your good fortune. In the future, follow De Feng well. He's also my lackey. Maybe in the future, when I completely destroy the Red Conches, I'll need your help." Chapter 34:15. As for Lin Yi, he dialed the phone number of the Bubble Clan's patriarch, Thor Ryan. "Young hero Lin, should we start now?" Thor Ryan had been waiting for a long time. "Old patriarch Thor, I've changed my mind," Lin Yi said faintly. "Ah." Thor Ryan's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Changed his mind? Doesn't that mean that Lin Yi doesn't want to do anything to the poison refining base? Does that mean that Thor Ryan's promise is useless? In a while, bring some people here and kill all the management in the poison refinery. As for the biohumans, find some of the villains and kill them. After that, one of my subordinates will come and take over this place. He will push all the blame onto the great bandits. Your Bubble Li clan will not get involved. If the poison refining base continues to stay here, you will still have an annual income." Lin Yi sighed. In the end, he was still a bit soft-hearted. He only let the Bubble clan kill some evil people, not all the biohumans. As for the poison refining base, Lin Yi isn't worried. With Big Brother Feng in control, they won't do anything evil and won't poison their own people. Lin Yi wanted to take out some biohumans, and when Dafeng Bro reported it, he'd say that Armadillo was killed as well, and he'd be able to get away with it. So that's how it is. Thor Ryan was surprised and happy. He quickly said, "I know, I'll bring some people over. As long as Lin Yi doesn't go back on his word, it's fine. Moreover, this is beneficial to the Bubble Clan, so why not?" With Thor Ryan's order, all the experts of the Bubble Clan were dispatched. On a dark and windy night, all the members of the Red Conch clan in the poison refining base will be killed. Meng Gaohai didn't expect that Lin Yi could actually order the patriarch of the Thor clan. This made them very shocked. Lin Yi being able to control the high-ranking members of the Red Conch clan was already very shocking. Now Lin Yi is simply an immortal. "Okay, I'll wait for you here." Lin Yi nodded, hung up the phone and waited quietly. The experts of the Bubble Li clan gathered together, so it was easy for them to destroy the base. In just one night, all the members of the Red Conch clan were wiped out. According to the files of these biohumans, Thor Ryu chose some of the evildoers and killed them. Their corpses were also dismembered, making it impossible for people to identify them. After doing all this, they brought their people and quietly retreated. As for Meng Gaohai, because of his early warning, although he didn't manage to save the lives of the Red Conch members, he managed to protect the poison refining base. Even if Meng Gaohai's actions were reported, no one would feel that there was anything wrong with it. This was because Meng Gaohai was the boss of the poison refining base, and he also had some management authority. It was just that he did not wear the uniform of the poison refining base's manager, so he was spared. As the boss, he naturally knew where to call. He found the boss of the nearby Red Conch clan, Big Brother Dafeng, and asked him to come and help. Then, everything made sense. Pangolin was quietly taken away by Lin Yi. Few people knew that he was still alive. These people were Lin Yi's men. When the general manager learned that the poison refining base in the Hakanamada Desert had been destroyed, he was very angry. Dafeng, what the hell is going on? Who did it? General manager, I'm not sure either. When I came here, those people had already left. However, I heard that it was because they came here to extort money. Not only did Lu Qitian, the person in charge of this place, refuse to pay them, but he also threatened them. He even captured a few of their people to do hard labor. Later on, this group of people brought a lot of expert companions and directly destroyed the poison refining base. Brother Dafeng explained. What about the Bubbly clan? Isn't that the territory of the Bubbly clan? Why didn't Lu Qitian ask for help from the Bubbly clan? The general manager frowned and asked, isn't it all that Lu Qitian's fault? At first he thought that the other party was a pushover. Not only did he chase them away, but he also forcibly detained a few of them to do hard labor. Later he did not take it seriously. After those people went back, they called people over and directly destroyed the poison refining base. Lu Qitian did not even have a chance to make a phone call before he hung up. If it wasn't for the boss of a poison refining base called Meng Gao Hai, who quickly called me according to the contact number, I wouldn't even know what happened here. Big Brother Defeng explained somewhat helplessly. If I didn't come quickly, these biohumans would probably be dead. Damn this Lu Qitian. The general manager was very angry after hearing this. He is really used to being arrogant. He has no vigilance at all. A good poison refining base has been destroyed like this. Now how much have we lost? The losses are very serious. All the poison refining materials have been destroyed, all the technical staff are dead, and some of the biohumans are dead. Other than that, we didn't lose much because there is no cash here. However, if we want to start operating again, it will be impossible without a year and a half of planning, Big Brother Defeng said. All right, I'll leave the affairs over there to you, the general manager said helplessly. Get it up and running again as soon as possible. Everyone will be under your management. Yes, general manager, Big Brother Defeng quickly said. And now Big Brother Defeng's power had been expanded once more. Linny brought Armadillo back to the Bubbly clan's manor, but Linny didn't feel any joy from victory. Armadillo was in a very bad state right now, and he could only rely on Zhang Liju. But at least there was hope. That night Linny said goodbye to the Bubbly clan and returned to Songshan with Udake. Finding Armadillo, Linny wanted to tell Ziyu as soon as possible. After all, this was something he could do for Ziyu. The car sped all the way, and in the afternoon of the second day, they finally arrived at the gates of Songshan's first school. Looking at the familiar campus, Linny couldn't help but feel a little emotional. He still remembered that day in March last year, when he came here and met the Miss and Shu for the first time, starting a feud with Zhong Pingliang. He didn't expect that the people from back then had already left, and Zhong Pingliang had obtained his fortune, becoming a member of the Everyday and Everyday sect. The Miss and Shu had become inheritors, and were about to embark on their journey to Sky Class Island. Chapter 34:16. It didn't take long for Ziyu to reply. Linny bro, are you here? That's great. We're studying this afternoon. I'll go find you with she now. Linny couldn't help but smile bitterly at the message. This Ziyu was really in a rush, not even going to school. However, Linny knew that Ziyu had feelings for him, but he couldn't promise her anything right now. The Miss Xiao Xiao Xinyan Shu Xiaoka, and the others were all connected to his fate, future and mission. They couldn't be separated, but Linny didn't want Ziyu and Chan Shi to get involved. They were too young, and they didn't know how cruel the world of practitioners was. He'd bring them along if they still wanted to follow him when he was at ease one day, and all these things were settled. But he couldn't do that now. Not long later, Ziyu and Chen Shi ran out of school hand in hand, their faces filled with excitement and joy. Linny didn't know if she'd still be this happy after he told her about her brother, Yingjia. At that thought, Linny sighed softly and decided to tell the truth. Now that he had news of Armadillo, he didn't want to hide it from Ziyu anymore. Linny bro, you're here. Why haven't you seen me and she lil sis? Do you not want us anymore? Ziyu ran over and jumped into Linny's embrace, making Linny pick her up helplessly. Chun Shi, on the other hand, was a bit bashful, not as bold as Ziyu. She just stood on the side, looking at Linny shyly. Alright Ziyu, you're a big girl now. Don't you know that guys and girls shouldn't touch each other? How are you going to get a boyfriend like this? Linny put Ziyu down. She and I are Linny bro's sisters. What boyfriend? Ziyu looked at Linny, confused. Looking at Ziyu's face, Linny was even more sure of his guesses. He didn't think that after all this time, not only did their feelings for him not fade, they'd gotten stronger instead. Before, Ziyu was just using Chan Shi as a cover, but now she wasn't hiding her feelings at all. This made Linny suspect that Ziyu and Chan Shi had some sort of agreement. In fact, it was true. Ziyu had always been joking about Chan Shi and Linny, But one night she had a dream and spilled the beans. He also spoke out his own thoughts. She had been suspecting her from the start. And now that she had recorded her sleep talking, there was no way Ziyu could deny it. But Ziyu wasn't a shy person like Shi. Since she'd opened her heart, she continued to brainwash Shi, tricking her. She said that the two of them would follow Lin Yi from now on. With so many people competing with Meng Yao, they wouldn't have any advantage at all. Plus Shi wasn't the proactive type. She'd be at a disadvantage if she didn't see Lin Yi for half a month, wouldn't she? She thought about it. She really did have that kind of personality. Having Ziyu's help would be better, so she agreed. But Lin Yi didn't know that. That was why he asked, "Sisters, what do boyfriends have to do with?" Lin Yi blinked. "Lin Yi bro, haven't you heard of this song? Just how many sisters do you have?" Ziyu hummed boldly. Lin Yi finally understood what Ziyu was getting at. He couldn't help but feel troubled. To tell the truth, Lin Yi didn't want Ziyu and Shi to talk about their relationship right now. It wouldn't be easy for Lin Yi to deal with that. After all, there were too many dangerous things Lin Yi had to do. And it was better for them to maintain that vague brother-sister relationship. And so Lin Yi acted like he didn't understand. What does this have to do with singing? Aya. Ziyu panicked seeing that Lin Yi didn't understand. Sister, that kind of sister isn't a real sister. God sister means God sister. What do you mean by sister? Lin Yi said, pretending like he didn't hear the difference in pronunciation. Stepsister? Run. Little mistress. Do you understand? Ziyu panicked. Oh. Lin Yi was regretting shooting himself in the foot. If he'd changed the topic earlier, there wouldn't be so much trouble, but now that Ziyu was talking about it, Lin Yi really didn't know what to do. Lin Yi bro, don't listen to Ziyu. She likes to joke around like this. She saw Lin Yi's awkwardness and quickly explained, feeling a little down. Did Lin Yi not like her? You're still young, we'll talk about it when you're older. Lin Yi didn't reject her outright. Ziyu was going to face an even bigger setback later, so Lin Yi didn't say much about it. See, I told you Lin Yi bro couldn't abandon us, right? Our youth is invincible, we have too many advantages. Ziyu nodded happily. Oh. She lowered her head, a little embarrassed. Ziyu, let's not talk about this first. I came to you for something else, but you have to be strong after you hear it. Lin Yi said seriously. Ziyu paused, not expecting Lin Yi to say something like that. After a while she said carefully, Is it about my brother? Yeah. Lin Yi nodded. It seemed that Ziyu was happy on the outside, but she was worried about her brother. You have to be prepared. I know. Ziyu's eyes reddened. Lin Yi bro, I've guessed it since the moment you came looking for me. My brother asked you to take care of me, even if you're comrades. There's no way he wouldn't have left a letter or a recording. It's not just a picture. My brother used to be on missions, but he'd still contact me occasionally, but this time, it's been so long and there's still no news. Ziyu's tears fell as she spoke. Lin Yi's heart ached a little as he hugged her, patting her soft back. Ziyu, don't be sad, it's not as bad as you think. Your brother Zhijia didn't die. Ziyu raised her head, her eyes wide with tears. Lin Yi bro, do you think my brother? He didn't die, but he's like a vegetable now. Lin Yi could only explain it like that. Advertisement. Recommend a good book, Super Soldier. Everyone can go read it. Chapter 34:17. Without the hypnosis, even if Ing Zhijia woke up, he'd be no different from a vegetable. My brother's not dead? Then where is he? Ziyu said excitedly. Lin Yi bro, you're a miracle doctor, right? You can cure Shi's mom's cancer. I'm sure you can cure my brother too, right? That's not bad. Lin Yi knew that he was lying to her, but he had no other choice. But right now we're missing an important ingredient, and we can only get it in a dangerous place. Dangerous? Ziyu paused, starting to worry. On one side was her brother, and on the other side was the person she loved. She wanted her brother to wake up, but she didn't want Lin Yi to be in danger. Then, if it's too dangerous, we can think of something else? Lin Yi could tell what Ziyu was thinking. He sighed at how much she cared for him. It'll be dangerous if I go now, because I'm not strong enough yet. But after some time when I'm strong enough, it'll be a piece of cake. But you'll have to wait. Yes, it's fine to wait, as long as you guys are safe, Ziyu said quickly. Linny bro, you have to get stronger before you go. Don't take the risk. I understand. I'm not only responsible for myself, but also for the armadillo. If I go without enough strength, not only will I die, but I won't be able to get the ingredient. Wouldn't that be a huge loss? Linny shook his head with a smile. Yes, that's good. Ziyu breathed out in relief, not as pessimistic as before. There was still hope for her brother, and she trusted Linny a lot. If Linny said there was a way, then there must be a way. With that thought, Ziyu returned to her lively self. Linny bro, where's my brother? Can I see him? Of course it's in the car. Linny pointed at the Jeep Cherokee not far behind him and said. Ziyu ran over quickly. Date got off the car and helped Ziyu open the trunk, seeing Ying Zijiao lying inside. Brother. Ziyu blurted out, remembering that her brother couldn't hear her right now. Looking at her brother's pale face, Ziyu felt heartache and gratified at the same time. If it weren't for Lin Yi's help, she might not even be able to see her brother again. Ziyu, don't be too sad. I'll do what I promised you. Lin Yi patted her shoulder solemnly. And then you said that I can be with you when I grow up. You'll do that too, right? Ziyu suddenly asked. Wah. Lin Yi didn't expect her to ask like that, feeling a little awkward. He was just brushing it off, but now it had escalated to a point where he had to agree. It put Lin Yi in a difficult position, but Lin Yi wasn't a shy person. He nodded after some hesitation. As long as you're willing, you'll be my sister for the rest of my life. You're my god sister. Ziyu blinked. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Alright, it's rare for you to come back. I'll treat you to dinner. Sure, but I want to eat Lin Yi bro's cooking. Your cooking is better than the ones outside. Ziyu didn't seem all that sad, evidently trusting Lin Yi. Alright, let's go buy the groceries now. Lin Yi nodded and brought Ziyu to the Land Rover. Lin Yi told Dake to go back to the villa in Donghai first. Leaving Zhijia in Donghai would make it easier for Lin Yi to take care of him. Ziyu was still living in her old house. After Chanxi left, she was all alone. Lin Yi did feel pity for her. He didn't know how Chanxi was doing after she left, but Ziyu didn't call Lin Yi to complain. After cooking a meal for Ziyu, Lin Yi ate with her and left, encouraging her to study hard. Ling Shan brought Xiaochun and the hypnotist back to the investigation department. Tianlong didn't expect Ling Shan to be this strong, capturing all the suspects on her first mission. Plus, judging from their testimonies, they'd been involved in a lot of big cases. Ling Shan could be said to have done a lot of work for them. Shanshan, you've done well. Tianlong looked at Ling Shan's report and smiled. I heard that when you were in the police station you solved quite a few big cases. Now it seems that moving you to the secret investigation department was a wise decision. Even I'm having a headache, not knowing how to do it. You've brought all the suspects to justice. Plus, the hidden house Tang joined us, that's unimaginable. Since when did we, the investigation department, become the leader of a hidden house? Director Feng. I. Ling Shan blushed from the compliment. She hesitated and said the truth. Actually, it's all Lin Yi's credit. If it weren't for Lin Yi, I wouldn't have been able to capture these two, and the hidden house Tang wouldn't have joined us so easily. Oh, Lin Yi? Tianlong paused and nodded. He more or less knew about the relationship between Ling Shan and Lin Yi, but he didn't want to interfere. His daughter wasn't Lin Yi's real girlfriend. Meng Yao and Tang Yun didn't interfere, so why should he? He nodded with a smile. Lin Yi is also a non-staff member of the investigation department. He walked out from here, and with his help, it's our strength. Yes, and Lin Yi also said that he'll have the other hidden houses report to the department one by one. They'll be managed by us, Ling Shan said. Very good, Shanshan. Although this is Lin Yi's help, Lin Yi isn't an outsider to us. He's someone we can trust. I can even see our department starting from now on, Tianlong said excitedly. Alright, Shanshan, this matter has come to an end. According to our rules, you can take a break before coming back. From today onwards, you can rest. Chapter 34:18. She hadn't seen her sister for many years, and she didn't know how she was now. My sister just came back from abroad, so I'll take a break. Go. Tianlong nodded. You're the vice director now, so you can decide your vacation time. But if there's an urgent mission, you need to come back immediately. Don't worry, Director Feng. I know what's important. Lingshan quickly nodded. Lingshan happily prepared to go home, but she didn't know that a plot was already being prepared against House Song. Overseas, the center. This was the headquarters of the Fire Wolves and Red Conches, located on a mysterious island. The person in charge of the center was Miss Lan, who was working with the Xianchen elder. The current person in charge of the center was a person named Dr. Benjamin Tu. I heard that Song Lingrui went back to China? Benjamin Tu's voice was filled with hatred when he said this name. Yes, I heard that she has already left the mercenary organization and the Overseas Cultivators Association. Song Xianghua, the honorary first elder of the Overseas Cultivators Association, also went back with her. The person who spoke was Qiu Shanlong, the head soldier of the center. Back then, if it wasn't for her interference, our people would have gotten the inheritance of the ancient spirit beast, and my new gene modification would have been successful. Once it was successful, I would have become a powerful helper for Teacher Li and Mistress Lan. I have failed to live up to their trust. Dr. Benjamin Tu said hatefully. Song Lingrui had gotten the inheritance of the ancient spirit beast by accident, and it turned her into a sky-class late-phase peak perfect physical practitioner. This was a rare existence in the world of practitioners. If it was obtained by Dr. Benjamin Tu's people, then Dr. Benjamin Tu could start his research on genetic modification, create a similar biochemical agent, and inject it into the recipient. Then countless masters could be produced in batches. This was much stronger than the current biohumans because Song Lingrui was far superior to the biohumans in terms of strength, defense, and endurance. It could be said that Song Lingrui was the perfect master that had been modified. As long as he mastered this technique, Benjamin Tu's biopotions would improve by leaps and bounds. It's not your fault, Doctor. Man proposes, God disposes. Who knew that she just happened to replace him? Besides, if she hadn't been protected by the Overseas Cultivators Association and the mercenary organization, we would have killed her a long time ago. Now that she's back in China, do you think we should? Qiu Shanlong made a throat-slitting gesture. Yes, when the time comes you must get me the corpse. I want to study her blood and genes. Dr. Benjamin Tu sneered and nodded. Go make the arrangements, but be careful. Those two are at the peak of the late phase of the heaven rank. They are top-notch experts. We have to get rid of them with absolute superiority. Send for experts. 4 peak late heaven rank. Qiu Shanlong pondered for a moment and said, we have to ask Miss Lan if we want to use so many experts. It wasn't easy for Instructor Li to nurture these people. We can't use them as we wish. Moreover, these people are part of our secret force. In the world of cultivation, no one else knows that our center has so many powerful cultivators. Okay, I'll talk to Miss Lan about this. Dr. Benjamin Tu nodded and agreed. In the past few days, Ancestor Xianchen was very upset. He and Kong Mingming got the second-grade medicinal cauldron and prepared to sell it to Lin Yi's company at a high price. However, they waited for a long time, but Lin Yi's people didn't come to discuss the purchase. It couldn't be helped. Ancestor Xianchen was anxious. He could only go to Miss Lan again to discuss cooperation and prepare to imitate the second-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. Fortunately, Dr. Benjamin Tu was also helpful. After a period of hard research, he finally imitated it. This was easier than cracking the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. After all, the first-grade automatic medicinal cauldron used other substitute materials. When researching and cracking it, it was necessary to change the parameters in some programs to adapt it to the real first-grade medicinal cauldron. There was a compatibility problem in the middle. However, the second-grade automatic medicinal cauldron didn't have this problem. It could be used directly after cracking it. Therefore, after cracking it successfully, it could be mass-produced and sold on the market. However, all of this was well prepared. On that day, the second-grade automatic medicinal cauldron was put on the market. When they were preparing to vigorously promote it and cooperate with the Cultivator Trading Association, the Cultivator Trading Association actually launched an integrated intelligent version of the first-grade second-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. Not only could it refine first-grade medicinal pills, but it could also refine second-grade medicinal pills. Of course, if Dr. Benjamin Tu wanted to imitate this function, He could imitate it without any technical difficulties. However, the main problem wasn't this, but this first-grade, second-grade automatic medicinal cauldron. It was too magical. As long as the other party was a first-grade alchemist and could control the alchemy fire, they could use the alchemy fire in the first-grade, second-grade automatic medicinal cauldron to complete the refining of second-grade medicinal pills. This was simply a godly tool for alchemy. Those first-grade alchemists dreamed of refining second-grade medicinal pills, but their own strength was not good enough, so they could only give up. But now, with the first-grade, second-grade automatic medicinal cauldron, this godly tool for alchemy, why didn't they hurry to buy it back? The appearance of this godly tool for alchemy made the second-grade automatic medicinal cauldron imitation of the heavenly elixir sect directly go from being noticed by some people to being uninterested in it. This made Ancestor Xianchen almost vomit blood from depression. This was all money. So many second-grade medicinal cauldrons, plus the modification fees, were all wasted. Miss Lan, what should we do now? Ancestor Xianchen was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He could only pin his hopes on Miss Lan. The most urgent thing is to buy another set of their new first-grade, second-grade automatic medicinal cauldrons to study. Miss Lan said faintly, in my opinion, it's nothing more than an upgrade in function and a replacement material for the second-grade medicinal cauldron. I believe we should be able to imitate it. That's good. Ancestor Xianchen breathed a sigh of relief. This was all the property of the Five Elements sect. Now it was all bet on the medicinal cauldron. If it couldn't be sold, wouldn't they cry to death? You don't have to be too anxious. These things are like this. Technology is the hard truth. We have high technology. Are we afraid of them? Miss Lan said indifferently. Chapter 34:19. While they were talking, Miss Lan's phone rang. She picked it up and saw that it was her subordinate, Dr. Benjamin Tu's phone. She was also thinking of buying the first and second grade automatic medicine cauldrons and asking him to study them. Hello? Second, what's the matter? Miss Lan asked faintly. It's like this, Mistress Lan. That Song Lingrui has returned to China. I want Qiu Shanlong to send someone to kill her and bring her corpse back for research. Oh, did she go back? Miss Lan pondered for a moment and said, okay, you can arrange it. However, a living body is more valuable. If possible, it's better to bring a living body back for research. If it's dead and the gene changes, it'll be difficult. In front of Ancestor Xianchen, she didn't want to say too much and expose the foundation and strength of the center, so she only said it vaguely. However, this also meant that she acquiesced to this matter. Madame Lan is really thoughtful. I got it, Dr. Benjamin Tu said. And you let Qiu Shanlong arrange it. Your energy is still on research. In a few days, I will send someone to send the new first and second grade automatic medicine cauldrons over. You can imitate them as soon as possible. Miss Lan ordered. No problem, Mistress Lan, don't worry. Dr. Benjamin Tu agreed and hung up the phone. He told Qiu Shanlong the news and asked him to send someone to do this. In order to succeed, Qiu Shanlong was very cautious this time. He sent 4 experts, all of whom had the strength of the peak late stage of heaven stage. These 4 people had never appeared in the ancient times, and no one knew their identities. They were all the foundation of the center. Although the center was silent now, it actually had a lot of strength. If they wanted to kill Song Lingrui, then 3 great perfection experts should be enough. Even if there was Song Xianghua, a great perfection expert, 3 against 2 was more than enough. However, it would be a little difficult to capture Song Lingrui alive. For people went to intimidate. After all, Song Lingrui was a living person, and she was a great perfection expert of the peak late stage of heaven stage. It would be extremely difficult to bring such a person back by force. If something went wrong along the way and Song Lingrui ran away, they wouldn't be able to find her. Therefore, according to Qiu Shanlong's instructions, they were prepared to use Song Lingrui's family as a threat, and then force Song Lingrui to go back with them. Since Song Lingrui had returned to the Song family, it meant that she had feelings for the Song family. In order to prevent the Song family from getting hurt, her only choice was to obediently give in. The 4 of them quietly came to China. Because they were all cultivators, they didn't rest and rushed to the Song family. Today, Lingshan had returned to House Song, and the place was decorated with lanterns and streamers. Lingshan and Lingrui had a younger brother, But he was still in school and wasn't very strong. House Song was waiting for him to grow up so that he could take over. After all, both Lingshan and Lingrui were girls, and they would have to marry in the future. They wouldn't be part of House Song anymore. Lingrui, you're back? Lingshan said happily as soon as she got home to see her sister. Yes, I'm not the only one back. Second grandpa is back as well. Song Lingrui and Lingshan gave each other a hug. The two sisters hadn't seen each other in a long time. The two had been close since they were young, and they were very excited to see each other again. Second grandpa? Lingshan paused. What second grandpa? Ah, grandpa's brother. The one who left House Song before, Xianghua's second grandpa? Yes, that's him. Lingrui nodded with a smile. Second grandpa and grandpa are chatting inside. Us sisters should go have a little chat too? Did you bring brother-in-law back? Lingshan was embarrassed. He's very busy. I didn't bring him back. Next time. That won't do. Didn't we agree? Brother-in-law has to get past me, or I won't recognize him as my brother-in-law. Lingrui said. Sis, you didn't forget our agreement, did you? He's very strong. I'm afraid you're not his match. Lingshan said. Me? Not his match. Lingrui paused. She remembered that Lingshan didn't know that she was a sky-class late-phase peak. She only told Lingshan to bring brother-in-law back, but didn't say anything about her strength. Thus, she couldn't help but smile and didn't explain. She just lightly waved her fist and smashed it at a piece of rock in the courtyard. Immediately, a loud bang sounded and the rock was shattered into pieces. Her strength was also revealed. Peak late stage, heaven stage, peak external expert. Lingshan couldn't believe her eyes. She stared at her sister in disbelief. An external expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage was extremely rare in the entire cultivation world. His own sister was actually one of them? These few years Lingshan hadn't seen her sister, but their phone calls were intermittent. Her sister was just a mercenary group member. How did she have such strength? This made Lingshan a little embarrassed. Lin Yi was strong, but in front of her sister, a sky-class late-phase peak physical practitioner, there was no way he could surpass her. And she just said that her sister wasn't her match. That was embarrassing. Rui, what have you been through these years? How did you improve so fast? If Lingshan didn't feel Lingrui's strength, she wouldn't believe it. Even if Lingrui called her and told her, she would think it was a joke. My brother-in-law is stronger than me? Then I'll have to see it. Lingrui giggled. She didn't answer Lingshan's question. She didn't want Lingshan to change the topic. Rui, stop messing around. With your strength, isn't testing people like that just bullying them? Lingshan frowned. But I can't be too weak, right? No, we agreed that I have to see brother-in-law. Lingrui didn't let it go. Then there'll be a chance. Lingshan said helplessly. Now can you tell me what you've been doing these years? All right, then I'll let brother-in-law go for now. Lingrui smiled and nodded. She started talking about her experiences these years. Now that they were back in House Song, there was no need to hide these things anymore. Chapter 34:20. Lingshan didn't expect her sister to go through so much these years, especially the dangers in the test. It was hard to imagine. Of course, in comparison, Lin Yi's experience was much more dangerous, but he wasn't as lucky as Song Lingrui. But with her level of strength, Lingshan was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to win against Lin Yi. Seeing that she gave up, Lingshan breathed a sigh of relief. But after a few minutes, Song Lingrui finished her story and suddenly asked, Sis, didn't you say before that if you find a good guy, you'll let me have him first? Why didn't you mention it this time? Lingshan was stunned. That was something they said when they were young. How could it be counted? It had been so many years, and Song Lingrui could still remember it. Her memory was really amazing. She said awkwardly, Rui, why do you still remember this? It's just a joke. You're taking it seriously? Yes, of course I'm taking it seriously. Song Lingrui said, I haven't had a boyfriend these years. I'm waiting for you to introduce him to me. Well, he's not as strong as you. He's not suitable for you. Lingshan could only say that. She couldn't just say that she would let her have Lin Yi. With her sister's personality, she might really want him. That's not necessarily true. You said that he's unbeatable in the Central Plains. I think he can protect me. Song Lingrui said. Well, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I was just praising him. He's not that strong. Lingshan could only belittle Lin Yi now. Haha. I say sis, you're afraid that I'll steal brother-in-law away, so you're belittling him? Are you playing dumb with me? Song Lingrui, of course, saw through Lingshan's intentions and exposed her directly. That's... Lingshan was having a headache over this sister of hers. That's not true. How about this? If you like it, I'll share it with you. I'm not your brother-in-law's only girlfriend anyway. Lingshan didn't argue anymore. She understood Lingrui's personality. The more you stopped her from doing something, the more she would do it. Just like when she was a child, Song Lingrui had been unable to cultivate her vital energy. Her family also wanted to cultivate her into an ordinary young lady, and then marry her into another family. But Song Lingrui didn't want to do that. So she went abroad alone and joined a mercenary organization. She wanted to make a breakthrough in external skills. She didn't expect that after so many years, she really made a name for herself. Ah! Song Lingrui was stunned. Why? Does he have other girlfriends? Yes, I'm just a mistress. Lingshan said. You can be Lil 4, Lil 5, Lil 7, Lil 8, I don't care. I say sister, you're my sister Song Lingrui. You're the sister of a peak late-stage heaven stage expert. How could you find such a person? Our songhouse was weak in the past, but now we have me and Second Grandpa. Second Grandpa is also a peak late-stage heaven stage expert. Even if our songhouse directly becomes an ancient house, it wouldn't be too much. Song Lingrui was a little anxious after hearing this. Roy, you can't say that. First, I like him and he meets my criteria for a spouse. He's stronger than me. Second, when our songhouse was in trouble, he was the one who helped us. Lingshan said. So don't mention this kind of thing. I have my own choice. I hope you can respect your sister's choice. But we agreed that he has to be stronger than both of us. Why don't you care about me? Song Lingrui said. Oh. Lingshan didn't expect Song Lingrui to have such strength. She had always ignored her and never thought about her. Now that she had fallen in love with Lin Yi, how could she just give up like that? It was completely impossible. And so she could only argue. Rui, he's able to shake the ancient level of China. He has his own capabilities. Although he might not be as strong as you now, he'll definitely surpass you in the future. Is that so? Song Lingrui's eyes turned and suddenly asked, Right, I heard that the strongest practitioner here is a person called Lin Yi. He's the strongest, right? You've heard of Lin Yi? Lingshan paused. She was about to say happily that Lin Yi was her brother-in-law, but Song Lingrui's next words made her face go pale. You're right. Of course I've heard of him. Not only have I heard of him, but he's also the enemy of our association. The reason I'm able to go home is because I promised the association that I would do one last thing for them, and that is to kill him. What? Kill Lin Yi? Lingshan was stunned. She didn't expect her sister to have a grudge against Lin Yi. What should she do? This caused her to shut her mouth in the middle of her sentence, not daring to continue. What's wrong? Sis, why is your face so pale? Do you know this Lin Yi? Lingrui paused. She didn't know that her brother-in-law was called Lin Yi. Of course, even if Lingshan or the Song family accidentally mentioned it, Lingrui wouldn't have any impression of it. She was just curious about Lingshan's reaction. No, it's nothing. Lingshan smiled bitterly and shook her head. This person is very strong. Sis, if you don't have any direct grudges with him, then don't provoke him. I'm afraid. No way. Is this person really that strong? Lingrui paused. Didn't they say that this person is only sky class mid-phase? Yes, he's very strong, so I'd advise you not to act rashly. Lingshan nodded seriously. Plus, he's a member of the Secret Investigation Department, so he counts as my colleague. If you kill him, there'll be no end of trouble for you. Geez, he's from the Investigation Department? Lingrui didn't expect Lin Yi to have this identity. She was fine with it, but House Song was still in Wuxia. If they offended the Investigation Department, then House Song would have a hard time in the future. That wasn't what Song Lingrui wanted to see. Although they could move overseas, her grandpa and second grandpa were old. The older they got, the more nostalgic they got. It was impossible for them to leave. So she had to be careful. That's right. So Rui, I advise you to give up. Ling Shan reminded. Chapter 34:21. I don't have a grudge against him, but he has a huge grudge against the Overseas Cultivators Association. He killed one of our elders for the sake of a man called Tang Yuyu. Then, he injured President He's son and played President He and the general manager of the Red Conches for a fool, causing them to kill each other. The Overseas Cultivators Association will definitely not let this go. Tang Yuyu? Ling Shan paused, not expecting that. Speaking of which, Lin Yi killing those people from the association had something to do with Ling Shan as well, since Tang Yuyu had challenged Lin Yi to a duel because of her. If Lin Yi hadn't gone for the duel, how would he have met that elder? How would he have fought? It was an undeserved disaster. And so Ling Shan quickly said, Rui, speaking of this Tang Yuyu, Lin Yi fought because of me. Because of you? What happened? Ling Rui paused. It's like this, Tang Yuyu came back to look for his family, and I was in charge of that at the time. I handled a case related to his family when I was in Songshan, so Tang Yuyu asked me to help look for them. My colleague Lin Yi was there too, and at that time the elders from the association came to take Tang Yuyu away, but Tang Yuyu didn't leave. They wanted to kill Tang Yuyu on the spot. Ling Shan made use of the time difference, not saying that she was in Donghai at the time. She pretended that she was already in the investigation department, or else she wouldn't be working with Lin Yi. She continued, You say that I'm a cop, and I'm the vice director of the investigation department in charge of practitioner matters. How could I just watch them kill someone? I let Lin Yi kill one of the elders, so, speaking of which, it's my fault. Are you going to kill me too? Ling Rui didn't expect something like this to happen. She had heard that Tang Yuyu came back to look for his family. This matched up with Ling Shan's story, but it put her in a difficult position. She thought about it and said, Hehe, who knows? It's fine as long as the association doesn't know. I killed Lin Yi and he became the scapegoat. He's the one who did it. Roy, that's not right. How could you kill someone so easily? Ling Shan didn't expect of Ling Rui. Sister, I'm a member of a mercenary organization, and in the cultivation world, do you really think there are so many right and wrong? Song Ling Rui smiled bitterly and said, I'm just returning their last favor. Ling Rui of me, Song. I'm not a good person, but I'm not a good person, but I have to be of things. Ling Shan wanted to say that her brother-in-law was Lin Yi, but she was afraid that if she said it, it would backfire. What if Ling Rui still insisted on killing Lin Yi? If that happened, there would be no room for negotiation between the two sisters. Alright sis, don't worry about this. Just pretend that you don't know anything. I've completed my mission and it'll be easier. Otherwise, if I can't complete it, who knows what they'll want me to do in the future. I won't be able to live in peace in the country. Ling Rui said. Sigh. Ling Shan couldn't help but sigh. Then she said, How about this, let's put this off for now. Think about it. Is it necessary to offend the investigation department just because you killed someone? You want me to pretend that I don't know anything? That's impossible. You're my sister. If you really killed him, my position as the vice director will be over. Not only that, I'll be punished and House Song won't have a good time here. Hehe sis, I've thought about what you're saying. If there's a policy, there's a countermeasure. Song Ling Rui smiled indifferently and said, Isn't there an ancient trial in a while? I'll be participating too. The Overseas Practitioners Association has already registered me, and Lin Yi will definitely be participating as well. Only the winner will have the chance to participate in the Heavenly Tao project. Lin Yi's so famous right now, how could he not participate in the Heavenly Tao project? How could he give up the chance to become Heavenly Tao? And if I kill him in the trial, it won't be against the rules. If he wants to participate in the trial, then he has to follow the rules. If he dies in the trial, then he deserves it. No matter how strong the investigation department is, they won't be able to interfere with the ancient trial. That's a joint effort of many ancient sections. Ling Shan paused. She didn't want Lin Yi to participate in the trial, but Ling Rui said that the trial was to qualify for the Heavenly Island project. That meant that Lin Yi would definitely go. After all, many of the girls around Lin Yi were inheritors, and they would all participate in the Heavenly Island project. How could Lin Yi not participate? Even if Ling Shan tried to persuade Lin Yi probably wouldn't listen, right? At that thought, Ling Shan couldn't help but worry, but she couldn't tell Ling Ruwei directly. Then don't do anything rash. Think about it. Lin Yi is a very important practitioner in the investigation department. If something happens to him, then… Aya sis, why are you so hesitant now? Ling Ruwei said impatiently. All right, I'll think about it. Ling Shan couldn't help but shake her head. Ling Ruwei didn't seem to care about her words at all. She said she'd think about it, but in reality she'd already thrown it to the back of her mind. As the two sisters were talking suddenly, they heard a loud roar coming from the entrance of the Song family's courtyard. Listen up, House Song. I'll give you 1 minute. Get the hell out here or you'll face the consequences. The voice was deafening, and it made Ling Shan dizzy. Even Ling Ruwei's expression turned serious. It was a sky-class late-phase peak full circle. Why would a practitioner of this level come to their door? Ling Ruwei didn't believe that House Song would offend a practitioner of this level. If they did, House Song wouldn't exist anymore. She stood up and walked quickly to the door, planning to see what was going on. Ruwei, where are you going? Don't be rash. Ling Shan felt the strength in the roar and said worriedly. Chapter 34:22. What? Ling Shan froze, but there was nothing she could do. She followed Ling Ruwei out. As the deputy director of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, even if she couldn't manage these sky-class late-phase peak perfection masters, her status was still there. Normal practitioners wouldn't dare do anything to her. The two went out together, and on the other side, the head of House Song, Ling Shan, and Ling Ruwei's grandfather Song Xiangwen and second grandfather Song Xianghua also hurried out. Song Xianghua and Song Ling Ruwei looked at each other, seeing the worry in each other's eyes. Who is making a ruckus in front of my Song house? What do you want? Although Song Xianghua knew that this person was not friendly, he couldn't weaken House Song's momentum. You're Song Xianghua, right? The person who shouted looked at Song Xianghua and said faintly. His code name was Firewolf Wargod No. 5 and he was the leader this time. It's me, who are you? As Song Xianghua spoke, he also revealed his heaven rank peak late stage great perfection strength, which was also a deterrent to the newcomer. We're here to take Song Ling Ruwei away. Firewolf Wargod No. 5 said as he continued to reveal his sky-class late-phase peak perfection strength. Take my Song Ling Ruwei away? Let's see if you have the ability to do so. Song Ling Ruwei couldn't help but laugh coldly. Although you're strong, I'm not a pushover. With that, Song Ling Ruwei took a step forward and revealed her physical strength of the peak late-stage great perfection. Hee. Firewolf Wargod No. 5 laughed indifferently and waved at the three people beside him. At that moment, the three of them also revealed their great perfection late-stage heaven rank strength. 4 sky-class late-phase perfection strength masters. This made Song Xianghua and Song Ling Ruwei a little dumbfounded. Originally, their strength could be said to be rampant. Although there was an expert at the peak of the late stage of heaven rank at the great perfection realm, they didn't take it too seriously. 2 against 1, they always had the advantage. But who would have thought that 4 sky-class late-phase perfection strength masters would suddenly appear? This way, Song Ling Ruwei and Song Xianghua had no chance of winning, even if they teamed up. Since when did peak perfection heaven rank powerhouses become so worthless? So many of them came at once? Where did these 4 people come from? Even with Song Ling Ruwei and Song Xianghua's knowledge, it was difficult to determine the origins of these 4 people. Then they could only inquire about their intentions now. Ling Shan and Xiangwen, on the other hand, were equally shocked. You guys are all peak late stage heaven stage great perfection experts? Song Ling Ruwei looked at the 4 people in front of her in shock. Who are you guys? What are you doing here? Of course it's the person who took you away. The Firewolf Wargod No. 5 waved his hand and said indifferently. Song Ling Ruwei, do you still remember the Gatra Forest Devil's Trial? Devil's Trial? Song Ling Ruwei's expression immediately changed. Of course she remembered this trial. It was also this trial that allowed her to go from an ordinary golden class external master to a perfect class external master with the strength of a late-stage peak heaven class external master. She would never forget it for the rest of her life. However, what did this person mean by mentioning this matter at this moment? What was his intention? At that time, there were people from the Overseas Cultivators Association helping you and letting you escape. How are you going to escape now? The Fire Wolf War God number 5 smiled coldly and revealed the reason why they were here. So it's you guys. Song Lingrui sighed. She didn't expect these people to suddenly find her home in China after enduring for so many years. However, it was not difficult to understand. Overseas, with the protection of the Overseas Cultivators Association and the mercenary organization, these people were not willing to go against these two organizations. Even if they had masters, they were not willing to go against them. Perhaps there would be a time when they relied on these two organizations, but now that they were back in China, the Song family was different. They could attack without fear. That's right. It's us. The Fire Wolf War God number 5 nodded and said, Song Lingrui, we don't want to fight. This is China, we don't want to cause trouble if we can. However, this also depends on you. What do you mean? If you have something to say, just say it. Song Lingrui was helpless, but there was no other way. Song Lingrui, come back with us. We will use your blood for research, but we won't kill you. Once we succeed in our research and replicate the genes in your body, we can let you come back. The Fire Wolf War God number 5 said. However, if you don't want to go, we can only take forceful measures. Do you think that a peak late-stage perfect physical expert can really be controlled by you? Aren't you afraid that I will run away? Song Lingrui asked lightly. I am afraid. So, as long as you run, we will attack the Song family. If we come here again, we won't leave even a chicken or dog alive. The Fire Wolf War God number 5 threatened coldly. If you don't go with us, the Song family's fate will be the same. For heaven rank late perfection realm experts against two, it's clear who wins and who loses. You. Facing the Fire Wolf War God number 5's threat, Song Lingrui was very angry. But there was nothing she could do. The other party was speaking the truth. She had no ability to resist. What? The Fire Wolf War God number 5 smiled faintly. It's useless to say more. I'll give you some time to think about it. We will come back in a few days. If you don't make a decision by then, don't blame us for being impolite. Of course, you can also choose to run away, but only if you never appear again. Song Lingrui, even if you go overseas, your family will follow you overseas. I can't do anything to you, but I can still do something to your family. Think about the consequences yourself. This. Song Lingrui's chest heaved up and down as she stared at the Fire Wolf War God number 5. Ever since she advanced to peak late-stage perfect expert, no one dared to threaten her. But today, facing so many experts, she had no choice but to compromise. There was no other way. The other party was too strong. It was impossible for her to fight them head-on. All right, we're leaving. You can think about it yourself. As he said that, the Fire Wolf War God number 5 waved his hand and brought the other 3 people away. They were extremely fast. Chapter 34-23. Song Lingrui was not a bashful person. At this point, she could only leave with these people to protect the Song family. Otherwise, these people would definitely attack the Song family, and Song Lingrui could do nothing about it. If she left with these people, second Grandpa Song Xianghua could still stay in the Song family. Even if the Song family lost her help, it would still be a very powerful aristocratic family. Then Song Lingrui could leave with peace of mind. Xiao Rui. Let's study it again and see if there is a solution. Song Xianghua's expression was solemn, but he did not immediately agree to Song Lingrui's suggestion. He was going to think of another way. If there was a way, he would make Song Lingrui stay. If she was taken away by these people, how could she survive? Letting Song Lingrui go after the study was done was simply a lie. Song Xianghua also knew about Song Lingrui's situation. How could these people let Song Lingrui go so easily? Xiao Rui, can you tell Grandpa what is going on now? Song Xiangguan took a deep breath. You are now the backbone of our Song family. Grandpa will definitely not give up. If there is really no other way, then we will plan for the worst. Grandpa, actually, my strength as a physical cultivator came from stealing someone's inheritance. Song Lingrui said. In the Devil's Trial, I accidentally obtained the inheritance of an ancient spiritual beast's remains. However, this inheritance belongs to another relatively powerful organization, the Fire Wolf Gang. This fire wolf gang should have an organization here in the country and abroad. I stole the inheritance that they had deliberately prepared for a long time. Naturally, they did not want to let me go. However, overseas there was the Overseas Cultivators Association and the mercenary organization to protect me. They weren't willing to make a big fuss, so this matter was left unsettled. This was also the reason why I owed the Overseas Cultivators Association a favor. But just when I thought that this matter was over, I didn't expect them to appear here. It seems that they have been looking for an opportunity. But I didn't expect that the Fire Wolf gang would have 4 such powerful experts. This is really rare. If they have this strength, they can also take me away by force abroad. So that's what happened. Song Xiangwen nodded after listening. In the end, although Song Lingrui didn't mean it, she still snatched the inheritance of others. It would be strange if they let Song Lingrui go. In fact, Song Lingrui was in the wrong no matter what. However, from the Song family's point of view, Song Xianghua naturally did not want anything to happen to Song Lingrui. After all, he felt that Song Lingrui was actually not responsible. She was just lucky. However, in the world of cultivation, the one with the bigger fist would be the one in the right. Song Xiangwen and Song Xianghua looked at each other and saw the helplessness in each other's eyes. Lingshan, is there really nothing you can do on your side? Xiangwen had no choice but to turn to Lingshan. He hoped that she could give him some ideas. I'll try. Lingshan sighed, preparing to ask Lin Yi. He wanted to see if Lin Yi had any countermeasures and if he could ask for help from the ancient level. I'll go back and make a call. Okay, go ahead. Song Xiangwen nodded. Lingshan went back to her room, sighing as she dialed Lin Yi's number. Lingshan, is everything going well on your side? Lin Yi picked up and asked. Lin Yi, my side house Song has encountered a huge problem. Lingshan said. Oh, what problem? Tell me. Lin Yi didn't really care. After all, in the world of cultivation, there weren't many things that Lin Yi couldn't handle. He went from being a solo practitioner step by step to the peak of the world of cultivation. He finally had the day to reap the fruits of his labor. It's like this. Lingshan didn't hide anything and told him about Song Lingrui's situation, including how she wanted to assassinate Lin Yi, and how 4 sky-class late-phase peak perfection masters came to their door. What? You have a sister? A guest elder of the Overseas Cultivators Association? And to assassinate me? Lin Yi felt that his thoughts were a mess. Lingshan's sister was this strong. A sky-class late-phase peak physical practitioner. She just got the legacy of some spirit beast. As for the association wanting to kill him, Lin Yi understood. It was understandable. After all, they weren't enemies anymore. But sending Song Lingrui over. Moreover, Song Lingrui was in trouble, and they wanted him to help her? Was there really such a thing? Of course, even if it was mysterious, since it was the silly girl's request, Lin Yi would definitely think of a way to help. But how? For sky-class late-phase peak perfection, Lin Yi didn't have any confidence in dealing with them at all. If it was 1 or 2, Lin Yi might have a chance to defeat them one by one. Wait, Song Lingrui and Song Xianghua were both sky-class late-phase peak perfection masters. If that's the case, then it's 4 on 4. With the Jade Pendant's buff, I can instantly kill a peak late-stage heaven-rank powerhouse, but I can only injure them, I can't kill them. But if he killed them and let Song Lingrui or Little E kill them, then there would be no doubt. Little One and Song Lingrui were both stronger than ordinary experts at the Great Perfection stage. One was from the 5 Elements sect and was possessed by a ghost, so she was quite powerful. The other was an external expert at the Great Perfection stage, so she was basically the top existence in the cultivation world. Ordinary internal experts at the Great Perfection stage were no match for her. With that thought, Lin Yi calmed down. There shouldn't be a problem, I've already thought of a countermeasure. How about this, I'll go to House Song now and help them deal with this. But to let Song Lingrui fight with peace of mind, don't tell her who I am. I'm afraid she'll be worried, and it won't be good for the fight. As for the other people in House Song, tell them to keep their mouths shut and not reveal my identity. I'm your boyfriend, Ling Yi. Okay, I understand. Thank you, Lin Yi. Lingshan knew that if she were to tell Lingrui that Lin Yi was here to help her, she'd feel a sense of defeat. The person she was supposed to kill was here to help her. Anyone would feel a sense of loss, and it wouldn't be good if she wasn't in a good condition to fight. Ling Shan knew that Ling Rui wouldn't be in a good condition. As a result, Lin Yi's considerations were very thorough. Chapter 34-24. Ling Shan got Lin Yi's confirmation, but she didn't go to the meeting room immediately. She sent a message to her grandpa, telling him not to reveal anything about Lin Yi before heading to the meeting room. Xiangwen received Ling Shan's message, and with one look, he knew that Ling Shan was asking Lin Yi for help. He was a little confused as to why Ling Shan didn't want him to reveal it, but from the looks of it, Ling Shan seemed to have found a solution. His furrowed brows relaxed a little. Ling Shan, you found a solution? Xiangwen looked at Ling Shan, who was walking in. Yes, Grandpa, my boyfriend Ling Yi said he has a solution. He'll come and help us. Ling Shan nodded and said with certainty. Ah? Sis, your boyfriend? He's not my brother-in-law, is he? Isn't he just a sky classmate phase? How can he help us? Isn't he here to die? At this moment, Ling Rui actually didn't want that Ling Yi to come. That was equivalent to harming him. She was going to be captured by the Firewolves gang, and this Ling Yi would be considered as a helper for House Song. Ling Shan wouldn't be at a disadvantage if she followed him, so Ling Rui had already given up on the idea of testing Ling Yi. No, he's confident. If he wasn't, he wouldn't have agreed so easily, Ling Shan said. Rui, don't worry, it'll be fine. Ah, I see. Ling Rui still didn't believe it. Then when he comes, I'll have to ask him if he has a solution. Xiangwen trusted Lin Yi a lot. The enemy was strong, but Lin Yi wasn't someone easy to deal with. He must have his reasons for agreeing. With that thought, Xiangwen said, Xianghua, since Shanshan has a solution, let's go rest. Don't worry about this anymore. Shanshan, your boyfriend, is he really confident? He's not just trying to please you, is he? Song Xianghua didn't know what kind of person Lin Yi was, so he was puzzled. That's impossible. In the end, I'm the one who threw myself at him. He doesn't need to please me, and he's a man of his word. He'll definitely do what he says, Ling Shan said with certainty. All right then. Song Xianghua nodded. In that case, let's go back first and wait for him to come. Ling Shan said that Lin Yi would be there to help, but there weren't many people in the Song family who were truly at ease. Even Ling Shan herself wasn't that relieved. After all, Lin Yi's strength was there for all to see. What could he possibly do? Ling Shan really didn't understand. The next morning, the Song family woke up very early. Obviously, they did not sleep well. They all had dark circles under their eyes. They sat in the dining room and looked at each other. No one felt that it was funny. Instead, their hearts were incomparably heavy. Big sister, if there's really no other way, I'll just leave with them. I've thought about it. Brother-in-law's strength is simply not enough to contend against them. I'm also a veteran cultivator, and I've never heard of a low-level expert being able to jump levels and fight a consummate expert. This is completely unrealistic and impossible. Although I don't think it's possible, I believe that Ling Yi can definitely do it. Since he said it, then he must have a certain level of confidence. Ling Shan could only keep encouraging her sister. If even she said that she didn't believe that Lin Yi could win, then this battle would be lost without a fight. All right, we'll talk about it when we see him. Although Ling Rui said that, she had already made up her mind. As they were talking, suddenly a long howl came from the courtyard. Everyone's heart skipped a beat. What was that sound? Those 4 great perfection heaven rank experts couldn't be some powerful monsters they found, right? Ling Shan seemed to have thought of something all of a sudden, and quickly walked out of the dining room to the Songhouse's courtyard. She saw Lin Yi riding on his purple lightning beast, appearing in the courtyard majestically. Lin Yi received Ling Shan's call last night, and after making some arrangements, he rushed over on his purple thunderbolt beast. The beast was very fast, and Lin Yi arrived in 2 to 3 hours. Ling Yi, you're here. Ling Shan saw Lin Yi and she didn't know why, but she suddenly felt a sense of security. Yeah, silly girl, you asked me to come. How could I not come? Lin Yi smiled. You're Ling Yi. Ling Rui looked at Lin Yi's arrogant look on his purple thunderbolt beast, and she was a little annoyed. What kind of beast is this? It's actually Earth-class late-phase peak? Haha, you're Rui, right? Shanshan always mentions you to me. Lin Yi smiled. This is the purple thunderbolt beast. It's indeed an Earth-class late-phase peak spirit beast. I know my sister said that you're confident in fighting those four because of this beast, right? Although some spirit beasts can contend with heaven rank experts from the yellow rank onwards, this advantage will gradually weaken as the spirit beast's rank increases. Legend has it that the gap will widen once again when it breaks through to the heaven rank. But even if this spirit beast can help us deal with a heaven rank great perfection expert, it's still not enough. This is only 3 against 4, and there's still one less. Don't tell me that you can fight against them too. Feng and I will deal with one. As for the other one, you'll know when the time comes. You and second grandpa just need to deal with the other 2 perfected masters. Linny smiled and said faintly, "Oh, so you're saying that you can fight against 2? Ling Rui looked at Lin Yi, feeling that he was asking for a beating. But he was here to help her after all, so Ling Rui didn't get mad and asked patiently. You can think of it that way. Linny nodded. Don't worry. I'll do what I promised Lingshan. TSK, forget it if you don't want to say it, Lingshan pouted. Linny smiled, not taking it to heart. It wasn't that Linny didn't want to say it, but the puppet clone thing was too weird, and normal people wouldn't be able to understand it. It wasn't realistic for Linny to take out the puppet clone. After all, if Linny used the puppet clone, he would need to beg the damn thing. It was fine if it was to fight, but if he took it out to show off, would the damn thing be willing? So Linny decided not to say it, and let them see for themselves. Chapter 34-25. Don't worry, Grandpa Song, I will try my best, but I will not be stupid enough to fight. Linny nodded. In fact, he came here with the same plan. If something happened to Song Lingshan, he would fight to the end. But now it was Song Lingshan's sister, Song Lingrui, who was not so close to Lin Yi. Lin Yi had not even seen her before, and she was ordered to kill Lin Yi. Although Lin Yi did not mind, he would not lose his life for her. Lin Yi had calculated that there would be danger, but he would not die for nothing. That's good. Song Xianguan nodded. Ling Yi, I will bring you to find a room to rest first. Song Lingshan said. Okay. Lin Yi nodded. If it was any other time, Song Lingrui would definitely ask Lin Yi about this and that. She might even challenge Lin Yi to a test. But now how could she be in the mood? On the contrary, she felt that this brother-in-law was very loyal. Don't be fooled by her disdain on the surface. That was because she did not want to lose. But in her heart, she thought that Ling Yi's relationship with her sister was really good. Don't care about the mistress and the mistress, at least he could help her when she was in trouble. Lin Yi stayed in the Song house. On the first day, the 4 did not come looking for trouble. The entire Song house was frowning. Even when Lin Yi went to the dining hall to eat, they did not speak much. They did not know what to say. After eating, they hurried back to do their own things. On the second afternoon, outside the Song house, the voice of the Fire Wolf War God number 5 came again. Song Lingrui, have you thought about it? Are you coming with us, or are we going to kill the Song family and bring you back? Kill the people from the Song family? Lin Yi took the lead and rode the purple electric beast of wind and thunder to the entrance of the Song clan. What a yawn from a toad. How arrogant. Today, if you want to take Xiao Rui away, then you'll have to fight to the death. And who are you? The Fire Wolf War God number 5 was stunned. He did not expect that someone would appear out of nowhere. However, he was not afraid. The 4 of them were already top-tier experts. Even if another top-tier expert appeared, they would not be able to change the outcome of the battle. Even if he brought a spirit beast with him, it would only be a spirit beast with the strength of a late Earth-class peak. There was nothing to fear. I'm here to help, Lin Yi said indifferently, revealing his heaven-rank middle phase strength. And here I thought you were an expert. An insignificant heaven-rank powerhouse dares to clamor in front of me? Have you really not seen the world? Or are you just foolishly bold? Fire Wolf War God number 5 was a little puzzled. Could it be that this person in front of him did not know their strength? Thinking up to this point, the Fire Wolf War God number 5 waved his hand and the other 3 revealed their heaven-rank late phase and perfect phase strength. And, generally speaking, my contracted spirit beast and I can become one. After that, you will die. Lin Yi nodded and said, What? You are from the Qianshan faction? You can become one with your spirit beast? After hearing Lin Yi's words, the Fire Wolf War God number 5 was finally moved. He had heard of the Qianshan faction. It was a small faction and they could become one with their spirit beast. However, he had never heard of such a high-level spirit beast and Qianshan faction disciple. Where did this person come from? There's no point in talking. Either get lost or fight. Choose one. Don't waste my time. Lin Yi said indifferently. Oh. The Fire Wolf War God number 5 was a little speechless. Who was this person? He looked so confident. Was he really that powerful? However, from his point of view, even if Lin Yi was one with his spirit beast, he would at most be able to fight against a perfect phase late phase expert. Song Lingrui, Song Xianghua, and the last one could sneak attack the other 3. This was a sure win deal. Therefore, he subconsciously thought that Lin Yi was lying. He coldly snorted and said, "Since that's the case, if you want to die, then I will fulfill your wish. However, can you represent the Song family? I think the Song family people most likely do not want to die, right? The same goes for the Song family. If we are no match for you, I will naturally go with you. However, it is not my style to give up without a fight. Since you have come here, I believe you know me well," Song Lingrui said faintly. "Haha, alright. Everyone get ready. One for each person. I will keep an eye on Song Lingrui. Number 6, you keep an eye on that old man Song Xianghua. Number 7, you keep an eye on this beast and man fusion. Number 8, you make a sneak attack." The Fire Wolf War God number 5 quickly distributed the combat tasks. Song Lingrui and Song Xianghua's expressions froze. The Fire Wolf War God number 5 had already arranged the tasks. If they were to fight, they would definitely be at a disadvantage. Just as they were hesitating, they heard Lin Yi say, "You are really a good person. I was just about to distribute the tasks. You can distribute them first and save me the trouble. Alright, little one, come out. That number 8 is yours." Although Lin Yi said that in his heart, he respectfully said to the puppet in the jade space, "Senior Ghost, I will have to trouble you this time." Little one nodded and then suddenly appeared in front of the Fire Wolf War God number 5, and the others from the jade space. Everyone present was shocked. Where did this person come from? Why did he seem to appear out of thin air? And this person's aura was so strong. He was actually a sky-class late-phase peak great perfection master. And the situation on the field had suddenly changed from 4 to 3 to 4. It was really hard to tell who would win and who would lose. If Lin Yi could really become one with the beast. Song Lingrui and Song Xianghua were very excited at this moment. This Ling Shan's boyfriend Ling Yi was indeed not bragging. He really had a trump card. So what if he has a helper? Attack. The Fire Wolf War God number 5 looked at Lin Yi and was not too worried. For against 4, he felt that Lin Yi would definitely be the first to die. As long as one died, it would be easy for the people behind him. Song Lingrui and Song Xianghua were worried at the beginning, but now they were full of fighting spirit. They each locked onto number 5 and number 6. This was a battle between the top masters. Very quickly, the 4 of them started fighting, and little one went to attack number 8. However, what made Lin Yi disappointed was that little one's previous skills could not be used at all. Now, he could only rely on his strength to attack number 8. Chapter 34-26. On the other side, number 8 and little 2 were locked in a stalemate, but it was difficult to determine the winner in a short time. Facing number 7, Lin Yi didn't dare to use the 11th move of the frenzied 8 trigram's fiery palm. Although Lin Yi had calculated that he would use a martial technique with the Essence Necklace's attack enhancement, it wouldn't be able to instantly kill an expert at the consummate level. It would only be able to seriously injure him. If he were to defend, even a serious injury wouldn't be enough. However, after Lin Yi used the 11th move, his chi would be weakened to a certain extent. He would need to recover for a while. Hence, Lin Yi brought the purple electric beast with him. The purple electric beast had 2 strengths. One was the thunder and lightning martial technique and the other was escaping. Today, Lin Yi's chances of winning depended on these 2 moves. "Little Feng, help me kill him," Lin Yi ordered. Roar, roar, roar. Little Feng roared 3 times and received Lin Yi's order. Suddenly, his horn began to crackle with electricity, and a huge thunderbolt struck number 7 not far in front of him. Number 7 was shocked. Although his strength was superb, he had never seen such a strange spirit beast that could actually use thunder and lightning martial techniques. If he was struck by it, the consequences would be hard to say. However, even though he wanted to dodge, the purple electric storm beast seemed to be able to control the direction of the lightning. The lightning struck right in the direction that number 7 was trying to dodge, directly striking him like a bolt out of the blue. In an instant, number 7 was breakdancing on the spot. Although this electric shock couldn't electrocute number 7 to death, he still reacted normally. Frenzied 8 trigrams fiery palm 11th move. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Lin Yi used the 11th move of the frenzied 8 trigrams fiery palm and smashed number 7's chest while he was defenseless. Boom! The huge force sent number 7, who was still breakdancing, flying. He landed on the ground in the distance and spat out a mouthful of blood. It was obvious that number 7 had suffered serious injuries. Although the fight between Lin Yi and number 7 was shocking, the other 3 Fire Wolf War Gods didn't have the energy to watch the show. Their opponents were also top-notch experts of the same level. A moment of distraction could cause them to fall into an irrecoverable situation. Who would dare to watch the show? Xiaofeng, let's look at the situation. If this person is fine, then when he chases after us, you run. Lin Yi lowered his voice and said to the purple electric tempest beast, but don't let him catch up. The purple electric tempest beast readily nodded its head. It thought to itself, an uninjured consummate expert might not be able to outrun it, but an injured soft-footed shrimp, what's there to be afraid of? Number 7 struggled to get up from the ground. He was about to go crazy. When he was hit just now, he couldn't control his entire body. Even when he saw Lin Yi attack him, he couldn't do anything because he was in a state of being electrocuted. Therefore, he could only take Lin Yi's slap head-on. Previously, he thought that Lin Yi was just a heaven middle stage expert. Even if he used his strongest martial art, it would only be around the 15th move. He could still take it head-on. And when he heard Lin Yi say that it was the 11th move of frenzy, there was no problem at all. He thought that this person was actually so arrogant and pretentious. If he didn't use the 15th move, he would use the 11th move. How could he not take advantage of such a good opportunity? Therefore, he calmly accepted it, and then the Fire Wolf War God number 7 felt as if his internal organs had been displaced. Not only that, but his bones and meridians had also been damaged. At this moment, he could only use the power of a heaven-ranked middle-stage powerhouse, and that was already pretty good. However, even if he was injured now, Lin Yi didn't dare to underestimate him. At this moment, Lin Yi's physical strength was very weak. After observing that the guy in front of him actually only had the strength of a heaven middle stage expert, Lin Yi calmed down and ordered Little Wind, chase after him. Roar, roar, roar. Little Wind responded and quickly ran towards number 7 with Lin Yi. In fact, with number 7's remaining strength, Lin Yi's Frenzy 8 trigrams palm's 9th move or even 8th move could end his life. However, Lin Yi didn't do that. Instead, he carefully activated the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm's 10th move. The power of the 10th move could kill a heaven late stage expert. Therefore, facing number 7, who only had the strength of a heaven middle stage expert, even if he used all his strength to defend, he would definitely die. Sure enough, when he saw Lin Yi coming over again, number 7 suddenly became nervous. He didn't dare to be careless anymore. At this moment, it was more important to save his life. He quickly used the mantra to protect his body. He didn't understand how Lin Yi's martial arts could cause so much damage to him. Was it because he was electrocuted and didn't guard against it? Frenzy 8 trigrams palm's 10th move. Lin Yi hit number 7's chest with his palm. Number 7 couldn't escape even if he wanted to because Lin Yi's mount was too fast. He was also injured. How could he dodge? He could only use his chi to protect his body. However, the result was regrettable. With a loud bang, number 7 was directly killed by Lin Yi. He finally understood one thing when he died: how powerful the human-beast fusion was. However, it was already too late. In fact, Lin Yi's human-beast fusion was not the human-beast fusion. It was just a trick to fool them. Although the Fire Wolf War God number 5, number 6, and no. 8 were locked in a fierce battle with Song Lingrui, Song Xianghua, and Little One, they still managed to catch a glimpse of number 7's death. They were shocked. No wonder Lin Yi, a heaven middle stage expert, dared to be arrogant. It seemed that he was a capable person. On his side, he was still carrying out a probing attack. Lin Yi had already finished the battle and Little 7 was dead. Senior Ghost, is Little Seven's corpse useful? Can it be used to make a puppet clone? Linny couldn't help but ask the ghost in the space of the jade pendant. However, the ghost was sleeping and ignored Linny. As for Little One, Linny didn't dare to disturb him. He could only wait. After continuously activating the 11th and 10th moves of the Frenzy 8 Trigram's palm, Linny's physical strength and chi were all exhausted. At this moment he had to rest and recover. Little Wind, if someone attacks me later, run. Linny whispered to Little Wind. Roar, roar, roar. Little Wind also roared 3 times, indicating that he already understood. Chapter 34-27. Linny killed number 7. On the other side, Firewolf War God number 5, number 6, and number 8 were no longer as arrogant and confident as before. Previously, Firewolf War God number 5 wanted number 8 to launch a sneak attack. Now they were praying that Linny would not launch a sneak attack from behind. However, after waiting for a while, they saw that Linny was still waiting there and did not attack. They suddenly felt a little strange. Why did Linny not launch a sneak attack? Could it be that this guy was one with the beast, so his way of thinking was different from other cultivators? Did he believe in the spirit of chivalry? Not launching a sneak attack or something. From the looks of it, it was really possible. Because Linny was also riding a spirit beast, which was quite similar to a knight. Maybe it was true. After Linny killed one person, he did not attack anymore. That was really a big idiot. The Firewolf War God number 5 calmed down and started to fight with Song Lingrui. As long as Linny's one with the beast did not cause trouble, he had nothing to worry about. Thinking of this, Firewolf War God number 5 used their own secret signal to inform number 6 and number 8, telling them to attack boldly and not worry about Linny's sneak attack. Because if he wanted to sneak attack, he would have done it long ago. Ha ha ha. Firewolf War God number 5 looked at Song Lingrui in front of him. Don't think that someone will help you. Song Lingrui, although our strength is about the same, do you know? External experts have an obvious weakness, that is, they don't have true chi, they only have physical strength. That's why you don't have the endurance of physical strength and true chi at the same time. Although you are stronger than other perfect perfection heaven rank late phase experts, I am not weak either. I am a well-known existence among perfect perfection heaven rank late phase experts. That idiot is one with the spirit of chivalry. He will not launch a sneak attack. After defeating number 7, he will only stand there foolishly. Humph. How do you know so much? What do you know? Although Song Lingrui said this, she was actually very curious. What did this brother-in-law mean? Why did he just stand there and watch? Why didn't he help? Song Lingrui did not believe that Ling Yi had any chivalry, but she could not understand why. Ling Shan, on the other hand, understood Linny very well. As far as she could tell, Linny must have run out of chi and stamina, and that was why he was resting there. Once Linny recovered, it'd be time for him to shine again. And so, after seeing Linny take out a 7, Ling Shan's heart calmed down. There was an 80% chance that they'd win today. It was just a matter of time. But she didn't dare say anything. The fewer people who knew about this, the more Linny would be able to catch them off guard. So she kept her mouth shut, watching the fight nervously. Linny quickly recovered his chi, channeling the 3rd stage of the art of dragon mastery to the maximum. Time passed second by second, and Lin Yi's chi was recovering rapidly. Finally, Lin Yi's chi was at its peak, but Lin Yi did not attack immediately. Instead, he placed his hand on Feng's body and started transferring chi to the purple thunderbolt beast. The purple thunderbolt beast had used the thunderbolt technique before, and it had used up quite a lot of chi. Although it said that it could use it 2 to 3 times depending on whether it used its full strength or not, it was using its full strength now, so it could only use it twice. But although the purple thunderbolt beast could use the thunderbolt one more time, Lin Yi couldn't let it run out of chi. What if it wanted to escape? And so, Lin Yi had to make sure that it had enough chi at all times. And so Lin Yi started replenishing the purple thunderbolt beast's chi. Fortunately, Firewolf War God 5, 6, and 8 were being held back by Song Lingrui and the others, and wouldn't attack Lin Yi for now. Finally, Feng's chi recovered to its peak, and Lin Yi smiled coldly. He patted Feng's neck and looked coldly at Song Xianghua, who was fighting Little Six. This person was Lin Yi's second target. Looking at the whole battlefield, Song Xianghua was at a slight disadvantage. The sixth fire wolf war god was an expert second only to the fifth fire wolf. Although Song Xianghua was also at the peak of the late phase of the heaven rank, there was still a gap between him and the sixth fire wolf. Although it wasn't particularly obvious, he would still be at a disadvantage after a long time. Even if he could hold on, he would still be the one who lost in the end. And on Song Lingrui's side, she was still very relaxed. And on Little One's side, although it was only a draw with number 7, he wasn't at a disadvantage, so there was no need for Lin Yi to intervene. Feng this time will get rid of number 6, who is fighting Song Xianghua's second grandfather. Understand? Lin Yi instructed Feng. Roar, roar, roar. Feng replied. Alright, start hacking him. Lin Yi said. Boom. A lightning bolt condensed on the purple thunderbolt beast's horn, and then turned into a thunderbolt, directly falling on number 6's head. Because number 6 was fighting Song Xianghua, he didn't expect the purple thunderbolt beast to hack him. He was feeling good at the moment because after a round of exchanges, he finally had the upper hand. If he was given a little more time, he was confident that he could defeat Song Xianghua. But his beautiful thoughts had already become a fantasy. He screamed and like number 7 before, he began to breakdance on the spot. Flaming 8 trigrams palm 11th form. Lin Yi took the opportunity to quickly activate the flaming 8 trigrams palm 11th form, smashing it towards the back of number 6's heart. Song Xianghua, this old fox, was not a kind person. When he saw Lin Yi begin to exert his strength, he was ready to attack with a lightning bolt from his mount. Previously, he had been conserving his strength and true qi. Song Lingrui, Little One, and him were the weakest, so he didn't dare to use his full strength right from the start, so he was at a disadvantage. But he finally found the right opportunity, used all the strength in his body, and activated his strongest martial skill. Blue Sea Shocks the Heavens 20th form. A white mist directly covered the top of number 6's head, and Lin Yi's flaming 8 trigrams palm 11th form also happened to hit him. Boom! Although this palm did not have the Essence Necklace's attack bonus, it still made the Fire Wolf War God number 6 very uncomfortable. Not only that, but Song Xianwen's martial skill also followed up. Chapter 34-28. Not long after, the Fire Wolf War God number 6 turned into charcoal. It fell hard to the ground, no longer breathing. Obviously, it had died under the joint attack of Lin Yi and Song Xianghua. Ha 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 ha. Song Xianghua laughed heartily. Although he had exhausted all of his true qi, he was also very excited. He had finally killed his opponent. Now there were only 2 enemy experts left on the field. And these 2 had their own people restraining them, so Song Xianghua was not worried that they would suddenly turn around and attack him. Wasn't Lin Yi watching from the side? Therefore, Song Xianghua swaggered back to his house, sat cross-legged in front of his house, and began to cultivate, recovering his qi. However, he was different from Lin Yi. He did not have the Jade Pendant Space or the Art of Dragon Mastery, these 2 killer weapons. Therefore, the time it took for him to recover his qi was very slow. If he knew that Lin Yi was in the same situation as him, even if he was not as weak, he would still have exhausted a lot of qi. He would not have dared to be so arrogant. However, in his opinion, Lin Yi could continuously use powerful martial arts techniques in such a short period of time. He was definitely a very strong existence. It was impossible for him to run out of qi. However, Lin Yi could still use the 10th move of the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm. Moreover, it was not the attack bonus of the Essence Energy Necklace, so the damage was not as great as the attack bonus. Lin Yi thought about it. He should be able to cooperate with the Purple Electric Tempest Beast again, to kill the Fire Wolf War God number 8. However, it was a little risky. If he could not kill it, Little One would not be able to cooperate with him to kill the Fire Wolf War God number 8. Then Lin Yi would be in danger. At that time, the Purple Electric Tempest Beast would not be able to help Lin Yi escape. He would also be out of qi and could not use his full strength to kill the Fire Wolf War God number 8. Wouldn't that be dangerous? It was too risky. Lin Yi could not guarantee that the Fire Wolf War God number 8 would not retaliate with full force after being attacked. Hence Lin Yi decided to recover his qi first. Circulating the Art of Dragon Mastery once again, Lin Yi greedily absorbed the spiritual qi of heaven and earth in the space of the Jade Pendant. On the other side, Song Lingrui and the Fire Wolf War God number 5, and Little One and the Fire Wolf War God number 8 were locked in battle. Lin Yi stopped once again and did not continue fighting. This caused the Fire Wolf War God number 5 to be puzzled. What was Lin Yi's strategy? Why did he stop after defeating the Fire Wolf War God 6? Could it be that he had used up all of his true chi? But that wasn't right either. The first time he defeated the Fire Wolf War God number 7, Lin Yi also stood there for a long time, not knowing what he was doing. But then he attacked again and defeated the Fire Wolf War God number 6. It was impossible to say that Lin Yi had used up all of his true chi. This was because the Fire Wolf War God number 5 had never heard of any cultivator who could recover their true chi so quickly. Moreover, he did not see Lin Yi consume any medicinal pills. It was just that Lin Yi just stood there motionlessly, causing the Fire Wolf War God number 5 to feel a little afraid. He wanted to end the battle quickly. However, his opponent was Song Lingrui. She was also an expert at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage. But the opponent was a physical expert, and they were evenly matched. The Fire Wolf War God number 5 did not have the slightest chance of winning. It would be great if he could have a godly weapon in his hands. Fire Wolf War God number 5 sighed. Compared to those ancient sects that had thousands of years of heritage, the Fire Wolf War God number 5 was still lacking a lot. Among the Fire Wolf War Gods in the Fire Wolf War God number 5, his strength was ranked 5th, but he did not even have a suitable divine weapon. However, only number 1 and number 2 had divine weapons. Even number 3 and number 4 did not have any. Hence, number 5's heart was still a little more balanced. Luckily, Song Lingrui and Song Xianghua did not have any either. Otherwise, his side would really be at a disadvantage. Of course, this was also due to the fact that the foundation of the Overseas Cultivators Association was still too shallow. The entire Overseas Cultivators Association was founded by He Luan. Although he had been doing his best to plunder and purchase godly weapons in the past few years, godly weapons were too rare in the current world. Not every heaven rank expert had one. The few divine weapons that the Overseas Cultivators Association had were all for He Luodong, his son, and the vice president. It was not even for an elder or a guest elder like Song Lingrui. Just like Elder Wang and Elder Chun who came here to carry out the mission to kill Tang Yuqi, they did not have any divine weapons on them. However, the two of them were evenly matched. This made the Fire Wolf War God number 5 very depressed. If he did not take down Song Lingrui as soon as possible, they would all be wiped out today. Lin Yi did not make a move. If he did, it would definitely be the death of another expert on his side. If it was not him, then it would be number 8. In fact, the Fire Wolf War God number 8 was also puzzled. Why did Lin Yi not make a move? Could it be that Lin Yi still had the night spirit? Just now, he only made a move because he saw that Song Xianghua was at a disadvantage. As for himself and number 5, they were evenly matched. Was that why Lin Yi did not make a move? Thinking about it, this was the only possibility. He really could not think of any other reason. On Lin Yi's side, he had finally recovered his strength and chi. Then, he began to restore the purple electric tempest beast's strength and chi. After both of them had sufficient strength and chi, Lin Yi's third target fell on number 1's opponent, the Fire Wolf War God number 8. Number 1's fighting style made Lin Yi very depressed. It was fine if the puppet avatar did not know how to use number 1's heaven-class weapon. After all, everyone's divine weapons needed to be used with their own mental cultivation method. It was reasonable that the ghost did not know number 1's mental cultivation method. However, what made Lin Yi most depressed was that even if it did not know how to use number 1's mental cultivation method, the ghost should have its own mental cultivation method, right? Couldn't it use martial arts? It actually fought head-on with the Fire Wolf War God number 8. If it was the previous number 1, this number 8 would have died long ago, right? Little Feng, let's get ready. Finish off number 8 who is fighting number 1. Lin Yi instructed the purple electric tempest beast. Roar, roar, roar. The purple electric tempest beast roared 3 times, indicating that it understood. Suddenly, its horn began to flicker with electric light. This situation caused the Fire Wolf War God number 5 and number 8 to be shocked. Was he going to electrocute someone again? However, they were evenly matched with the opponent, and the opponent did not show any signs of weakness. Why did Lin Yi help? This changed his mind. Boom! Chapter 34-29. He did want to dodge, but he was fighting with little one. How could he have the energy to dodge? Besides, even if he wanted to dodge with the speed of the purple electric tempest beast, he might not be able to. Exclamation point. Raging Fire 8 trigrams palm 11th form. Linny quickly activated his strongest martial arts technique. This technique did not have the attack bonus of the profound chi necklace, but it was enough to seriously injure the Fire Wolf War God number 8. Little one hit him with martial arts. Linny took this opportunity and shouted to Little One. However, Little One looked up at Linny and still used his fist to punch the Fire Wolf War God number 8. He did not follow Lin Yi's instructions and activated the martial arts technique. This made Linny very speechless. With this kind of fighting style, how many times would it take to kill the number 8 in front of him? Even if the strength was great, it was far worse than a martial arts technique. Originally, Lin Yi could continue to activate the 10th form of the Raging Fire 8 trigrams palm, which was equivalent to the 11th form of the Raging Fire 8 trigrams palm. He would let the purple electric tempest beast attack the Fire Wolf War God number 5 with lightning, and then Lin Yi would use the 11th form of the Raging Fire 8 trigrams palm. Song Lingrui would use her strongest martial arts technique, and Little One would help again. Then the number 5 would die without a doubt. Lin Yi could recover his and Little Win's strength after that, and it would save some fighting time. But now it seemed that Little One did not know how to activate the martial arts technique. If Lin Yi did not continue to attack, it would still be troublesome when the Fire Wolf War God number 8 recovered. Helplessly, Lin Yi could only give up on his previous plan. He had to follow the prescribed order. Once again, he struck the Fire Wolf War God number 8's back with the 10th move of the Frenzied Fire 8 trigram palm. Only then did he kill him. However, Lin Yi's physical strength and true chi had already been exhausted. He could see that this puppet avatar looked very powerful, but it was not practical. It did not know any martial skills, but it could be restrained, but to injure the enemy was indeed a bit troublesome. However, this was not the time to think about this. Lin Yi's top priority was to restore his physical strength as soon as possible, so that he would have sufficient physical strength to face the last enemy. He frantically entered the space of the jade pendant and began to absorb energy, while Little One went to help Song Lingrui. Even though Song Lingrui had Little One's help, she was still not the Fire Wolf War God number 5. This was because at this moment, Song Lingrui's physical strength was showing signs of exhaustion. The Fire Wolf War God no. 5 had the upper hand, but he was not happy at all. If it was before, he would have been very excited. However, all the people he brought were dead, and he was the only one left. The Fire Wolf War God number 5 already had the intention to retreat. It was absolutely impossible for him to bring Song Lingrui away today, so his life was more important. However, with the current situation, could he escape? If it was only Song Lingrui, it was still okay. After all, Song Lingrui's physical strength was beginning to weaken. However, Little One joined the battle, causing the Fire Wolf War God number 5 to be a little flustered. Besides, there was still Lin Yi watching from the side. He did not know when Lin Yi and his spirit beast would attack. The Fire Wolf War God number 5 was also very confused. If Lin Yi joined the battle now, he would definitely die. However, Lin Yi did not come. This made him feel that something was wrong, but he could not figure it out and did not have the time to think about it. All his energy was focused on fighting Song Lingrui and Little One. Originally, Song Lingrui was already at a disadvantage. However, with the addition of Little One very soon, the two of them were suppressing the Fire Wolf War God number 5. Fire Wolf War God number 5 complained incessantly. If they knew that there was such a powerful human-beast unity cultivator in the Chinese cultivation world, and that he was the helper of the Song family, they would have asked around before coming. Now they did not manage to bring Song Lingrui away. They were slapped and slapped by this human-beast unity guy, and 3 of them died. He was puzzled. How could this person be so powerful? Every time, it was a lightning strike from his spirit beast and 2 slaps from his palm. Number 7 and number 8 died. Even if it was a great perfection expert, he had never heard of anyone who could defeat an expert of the same level in 3 moves. However, it happened in front of him, and he had no choice but to believe it. Lin Yi's physical strength and chi were quickly recovering. This time, Lin Yi did not need to rush to recover the purple electric tempest beast's physical strength and chi. As long as he used one lightning strike and 2 wildfire 8 trigram palms, then Lin Yi would definitely be able to kill the fire wolf war god number 5. Little Feng, get ready. Lin Yi instructed Little Feng. Roar, roar, roar. The purple electric tempest beast roared 3 times, indicating that it understood. It was also a little excited, knowing that it was facing the last enemy. Its horn began to flicker with electricity again. Hearing the roar of the purple electric tempest beast, the fire wolf war god number 5 was shocked. He lost his balance and almost fell to the ground. Was it going to start again? My life is over. He knew that Lin Yi would definitely make a move, but he did not know when. Seeing the electric current flickering on the purple electric tempest beast's horn, at this moment, he suddenly understood something. That's right, maybe Lin Yi had to wait for a while each time because his spirit beast could not continuously use martial arts. This kind of lightning martial arts was a bit rare, and it probably needed a while to recover. He did not think that it was Lin Yi. After all, Lin Yi was a cultivator like him, so he did not think too much about it. But spirit beasts were different. However, he did not know that his thoughts were already very close. Even if he was close, he could not escape the final fate. Boom! A bolt of lightning struck down and hit the fire wolf war god number 5's head. This time, he did not even have the thought of dodging. He was already disheartened. He stood in the same spot, waiting for the lightning to come. Song Lingrui and Little One also took this opportunity to attack the fire wolf war god number 5. At the same time, Little Feng had already brought him to the back of the fire wolf war god number 5. Frenzy 8 trigrams palm 11th move. Lin Yi quickly activated his strongest martial arts technique, but this move still did not have the essence necklace's attack bonus. But it did not matter. Lin Yi immediately activated the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm's 10th move, and the 10th move had the essence necklace's attack bonus, which was equivalent to the 11th move of the Frenzy 8 trigrams palm. Chapter 34:30. Fu. Lin Yi let out a long breath. He was about to use the chant to recover the lost qi in his body when suddenly, Lin Yi felt an uncontrollable hunger in his meridians. Lin Yi's energy had been drained the last few times, but this was the first time he craved to recover his energy as quickly as he did now. This feeling was familiar to Lin Yi. It was the feeling when he was about to break through the level barrier and needed a large amount of heaven and earth qi. Lin Yi had experienced this feeling before, just like that time when he attended the meeting of the hidden houses. It was the same situation back then, and when he replenished his energy, the breakthrough he had been looking forward to for a long time came one after another. Lin Yi knew that it was inevitable to crave for heaven and earth qi, so Lin Yi quickly continued to use the art of dragon mastery, allowing the energy in the space in the jade to rush into his meridians. Slowly, Lin Yi's qi was replenished, and the replenishment didn't stop. Instead, it became more and more frenzied as he channeled the chant. This, Mr. Ling Yi, what's going on? Originally, House Song should be quite happy that the 4 super enemies were killed, but now Lin Yi's face was suddenly very red, as if he was about to burn. This made House Song worried. However, Song Lingshan understood Lin Yi. She saw Lin Yi's situation and could roughly guess what was going on. Second Grandpa Ling Yi seems to be breaking through. Let's not disturb him and protect him. Yes, that's true. Some spiritual practitioners are like this when they are about to break through. Song Xianghua was reminded by Song Lingrui and nodded. If that's the case, then let's protect Mr. Ling Yi together. Song Lingrui was a physical practitioner. She looked at Lin Yi curiously. This person seemed to be quite strong, especially his human-beast fusion ultimate move. Looks like sister's eyesight is pretty good. Now Song Lingrui was completely convinced. She no longer dared to say that she wanted to test Ling Yi. Lingshan said that she didn't want to hurt her, and it was true. Not to mention anything else, with a lightning strike and 2 more palm strikes, even if Song Lingrui didn't die, she definitely wouldn't be able to live. This was the situation before Ling Yi broke through. If he broke through and became a peak heaven rank middle stage expert, wouldn't he be even more powerful? Thinking about it, Song Lingrui felt a little scared. Luckily, I didn't provoke him. However, my attitude towards him didn't seem to be very good before. I wonder if this brother-in-law will bear a grudge? Moreover, apart from these, there was also that strange guy called Little E. At this moment, this person was like a pillar standing beside Lin Yi. No one knew where he came from, but he had the power of a peak late-stage heaven-rank powerhouse. Obviously, Lin Yi had brought them here as well. Lin Yi didn't have time to explain to them. Since Ling Shan had already explained, there was no problem. He could just focus on breaking through and leveling up. At this moment, a warm current flowed from the space in the jade into Lin Yi's body. It started from his dantian and spread throughout his body. What followed was a burning sensation as if his meridians were on fire. However, Lin Yi wasn't worried. This wasn't the first time he felt this way. He was already used to it. After that, the burning sensation intensified. Lin Yi felt that starting from his meridians, his whole body was on fire. Even so, Lin Yi gritted his teeth and persevered. Lin Yi was too familiar with this feeling. The feeling before a breakthrough. The more painful it was, the closer he was to breaking through. Beads of sweat rolled down Lin Yi's forehead. The pain was getting stronger and stronger. However, Lin Yi was very excited. As Lin Yi's pain deepened, the energy in the air gathered and circled above Lin Yi's head, forming an extremely weak whirlpool. It resonated with Lin Yi's qi and circulated around Lin Yi's body. It spun faster and faster, and Lin Yi's body temperature rose as well. At this moment, a large amount of pure energy poured into Lin Yi's body from the space in the jade. Finally, a loud explosion sounded in Lin Yi's ears. His whole body trembled, and his meridians seemed to explode. At this moment, Lin Yi knew that he had broken through. Peak middle phase of heaven class. Lin Yi now had the strength of peak middle phase of heaven class. Who knew if he could use the 12th form of Fire Bagua Palm? Would it be able to instantly kill a peak late-stage heaven realm expert? Lin Yi was looking forward to it. Lin Yi opened his eyes and nodded to the people beside him with a smile. Ling Rui, Xianguan, Xianghua, and Ling Shan all felt the change in Lin Yi's strength. From Sky Class Middle Phase, he had directly advanced to Sky Class Middle Phase Peak. Congratulations, Mr. Ling Yi. In the future, it won't be difficult for Mr. Ling Yi to kill Peak Late Phase Heaven Class Masters in one hit. Xianghua said sincerely. This Ling Yi was really strong. If it wasn't for him, House Song would have been wiped out. And the result of Lin Yi's appearance was the complete annihilation of the enemy. It's hard to say. Lin Yi shook his head. He didn't test it. Who knew if he could successfully activate the 12th form of Fire Bagua Palm? Of course, if he could activate it, and it had an attack bonus, there was still hope for him to kill Peak Late Phase Heaven Class Masters in one hit. Ling Yi, thank you so much. You've helped House Song so much. Ling Shan said gratefully. Lin Yi didn't disappoint her once again. I was just lucky. Lin Yi smiled. Plus, how could I not care about your matters? Now, can you formally introduce your sister and second grandpa? Yes. Ling Shan nodded quickly. The Song family hadn't been in a good mood before, and Lin Yi had only told them about their identity and strength. Now that the Song family was in a good mood, they all cooperated with Lin Yi. Hello brother-in-law, it's nice to meet you. My name is Song Ling Rui. You can also call me Rui. Ling Rui politely extended her hand to Lin Yi. As the saying goes, a sister-in-law is half of a brother-in-law's butt. You have to protect me like you protect your butt. Chapter 34-31. Man, I can't blame you for being so cocky. It's true that no one in the world of practitioners is your match. Song Ling Rui nodded in agreement. Ling Yi, you're Shanshan's boyfriend, so you have to protect me from now on. Song Xianghua smiled. I'm returning to my hometown now, so if the Foreign Practitioners Association comes looking for me, you have to help me. No problem. Lin Yi nodded. Haha, Shanshan, this boyfriend of yours is pretty good. It's your fortune and also House Song's fortune. Song Xianghua teased. Grandpa. Ling Shan blushed a little, but she seemed to enjoy it. Ling Shan, you guys clean up the battlefield. I'm going to rest. Don't throw away these bodies for now, Lin Yi said. Okay. Ling Shan nodded. She knew that Lin Yi had just broken through, and he needed to consolidate his strength. Lin Yi waved at little one and brought him back to the Songhouse's guest room. After entering the room, Lin Yi closed the door and waved his hand, and little E was put into the jade space. Little E was in a very strange state right now. He wasn't a living person, but he wasn't completely dead either. That was why Lin Yi's jade space didn't have any restrictions on entry. Senior Ghost, what's wrong with you today? It's fine if you don't know how to use Little Yi's sky-class weapon, but why aren't you using your skills? Linny asked with a bitter smile. Today's battle was also a freak accident. If that thing knew how to use martial arts or heaven-level divine weapons, then today's battle wouldn't have lasted for so long. But at the same time, Linny didn't have the opportunity to break through. Humph. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Little E, who was possessed by the ghost soul, humphed. This puppet is too weak, it can't use my skills. His body isn't strong enough. Ah. Linny paused. Little E was a top existence in the world of practitioners. Even if he wasn't as strong as Linny, he was still a disciple of the Five Elements sect. However, he was still a disciple of the Five Elements sect, and his overall strength was a level higher than other practitioners at the peak of the late phase of Sky class, but the ghost said that it was too inferior. This made Linny very depressed. This meant that the main body of the ghost was how strong must it be. Alright, then what about the other Sky class late phase peak masters? Do you need to make them into puppets? Linny asked. It's useless. I'll just throw it away. Just making one drained a lot of my primordial spirit. It wasn't easy for me to recover some of my primordial spirit's power. I don't want to waste it. The ghost said impatiently. Alright, don't disturb me. I'm going to sleep. Okay. Linny had no choice but to nod and agree. The ghostly thing stopped talking. Linny also began to circulate the third stage of the art of dragon mastery, and began to consolidate his strength. He had just broken through today, so Linny didn't try to activate his martial skills. It would be easier for him to succeed after he had consolidated his strength. Because he had solved the problem of the Song family, Linny felt more at ease when consolidating his strength. He didn't have to worry about any sudden incidents. At least for the next few days it was peaceful. Even if the bosses behind those people found out that they had lost contact with the 4 Firewolf War Immortals, it would still be a matter of a few days before they came to look for them. Linny quickly circulated the mantra, intending to consolidate his strength as soon as possible, because Linny was looking forward to the 12th move, Frenzy 8 Trigrams Palm. The higher the level of the Frenzy Fire 8 Trigrams Palm, the harder it was to activate. However, its power also gradually increased. In the past, it was only equivalent to 6 levels higher than ordinary martial techniques, but now it was more than 6 levels. Therefore, the higher the level, the harder it was to activate. However, if it was truly activated, it would be a rather powerful existence. Of course, this was also thanks to the Frenzy Fire Fist martial skill above the 10th level. The Frenzy Fire Fist itself was stronger than other ordinary martial skills. The first 10 moves were basically 1 level higher than ordinary martial skills. However, after the 10th move it was not just 1 level higher, it was even 2 levels, 3 levels and 4 levels higher. He had to admit that the Frenzy Fire Fist was truly a powerful martial skill. As for the 5 Elements 8 Trigrams Palm, although it was powerful, it only had 10 moves. At the 10th move it would be the end. Therefore, no matter how powerful it was only an invincible existence under the Earth stage. However, no one would have thought that Linny would have an omnipotent martial skill. By combining the two together, he could activate the even more powerful Frenzy Fire 8 Trigrams Palm. Its power was simply unimaginable. This was also the reason why Linny's enemies suffered so much. Because they didn't think of it, how could they be on guard? However, the next thing that happened made Linny a little shocked. Along with the circulation of the mental cultivation method, Linny's body's demand for heaven and earth spiritual energy seemed to be increasing, and the hunger that he had before breaking through came again. This hunger was getting stronger and stronger, which made Linny a little shocked. It couldn't be. Could it be that he had just broken through and he was going to break through again? This was completely unrealistic. Linny hurriedly wanted to stop the circulation of the mental cultivation method. However, although Linny stopped the circulation of the mental cultivation method in his heart, in reality, the circulation of the mental cultivation method in his body didn't stop at all. Instead, he couldn't stop it at all. At this moment, Linny discovered that the huge energy in the jade space was surging into his body from all directions at an extremely fast speed. This sudden change made Linny suddenly shocked. What was going on? Why did it feel like he had lost control of his mental cultivation method? Could it be that the breakthrough just now wasn't complete, so he had to continue breaking through now? However, this feeling gave Linny a familiar feeling, as if he had encountered it before. The energy surged into Lin Yi's body endlessly. In an instant, Linny almost had a feeling that his body was about to explode, but there was no other way. He had already stopped the circulation of the mental cultivation method, but it was of no use. Wait! Linny suddenly thought of another possibility. That was the breakthrough of the mental cultivation method. Chapter 34-32. So it was a double breakthrough. Thinking of this, Linny also calmed down, allowing the energy around him to flow into his body. At this moment, Lin Yi's body was like a magnet, constantly absorbing the energy around him, and the energy in Lin Yi's body was increasing. Gradually, Linny felt that his body could no longer withstand the huge amount of energy, and then his whole body exploded like a firecracker. With a loud bang, the clothes on his body instantly turned into charred pieces, flying in all directions. Breakthrough. Linny did not expect that he would advance to the Art of Dragon Mastery's third stage in such a short time. It seemed like there was not much time left until the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery was completed, right? However, a breakthrough was a good thing, but the problem that troubled Lin Yi was when could he open the fourth stone door? In the past, Lin Yi's mental cultivation method had not reached this level, so he did not think too much about it. After all, it was useless to think about things that had not been achieved yet. But now that the mental cultivation method had broken through to the Art of Dragon Mastery, it meant that he could cultivate the fourth stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery. If he had the fourth stage, other than speeding up the speed of cultivation, healing, and recovery of his physical strength, what other benefits would it bring? And what kind of benefits would there be in the fourth stone door? Something like an all-purpose martial technique, jade pendant refining, or divine weapon forging. Linny was very much looking forward to it. However, it was useless to look forward to it. Currently, the prerequisite to open the fourth stone door was not only to break through to the Art of Dragon Mastery's third stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery, but also to hit the stone door with the divine weapon. Now Linny had the strength, but the divine weapon had not been forged yet. The only thing that comforted Linny was that the refining materials were ready, and he only lacked the blood of the Five Evils dragon. This was more difficult to get, unless he entered the Five Evils savage land again. However, even if Linny wanted to go in, the Heavenly Elixir sect would not let him in, and whether he could enter was a problem. It seemed that he should find a chance to ask Kong Ming Ming. Over here, the four Fire Wolf war gods were dead. Dr. Benjamin Tu and Qiu Shanlong were still anxiously waiting for their news. Previously, they had made a report. After going to the Song family to demonstrate, they gave the Song family time to consider. Today, they would go to the Song family again. However, they had waited for a long time. According to the time in Wuxia, it should be midnight now. How come there was no news of the four people? Qiu Shanlong, why there is still no news of the four Fire Wolf war? Will there be any accidents and complications? Dr. Benjamin Tu asked with some worry. It is reasonable to say that there should not be any problems. After all, they are all experts at the peak of the late stage of Heaven stage. Looking at the current cultivation world, they are also the strongest existence. Not to mention a mere Song family, even those ancient sects would find it difficult to compete with the four of them unless they unite, right? Qiu Shanlong shook his head and said, "This is true." After listening, Dr. Benjamin Tu said, "Although the reason is reasonable, I still feel uneasy. The rules of the center are strict. After these four people capture the people, they will definitely contact us immediately. I'll make another call and see." After listening to Dr. Benjamin Tu, Qiu Shanlong picked up the phone again and dialed the number of the Fire Wolf War God number 5. However, after the phone was picked up, no one answered. Before the Fire Wolf War God number 5 brought people to the Song family, he didn't take the phone at all. He just left it in the hotel. He was an expert trained by the center. Usually, he didn't use a mobile phone, so it was normal not to bring it when he went out. Qiu Shanlong hung up twice, but still no one answered. This made him frown. "Doctor, no one is answering the phone." "I know. Let's wait a little longer. If it doesn't work, we can only report to Master's wife, Miss Lan," said Dr. Benjamin Tu. However, the two of them waited for another 2 hours. Even if the Fire Wolf War God number 5 brought people from the hotel to the Song family and back, there was still no news. This couldn't help but make the two of them panic at the same time. There's still no answer. Doctor, let's report this. This time even Qiu Shanlong, who had always been calm, realized that something was wrong. Something big was going to happen. There's an 80% chance that something is wrong. Okay. Dr. Benjamin Tu directly dialed Miss Lan's phone. At this moment, Miss Lan was also waiting for news from Dr. Benjamin Tu. Song Lingrui was a very important research subject for the center. Dr. Benjamin Tu, how is it? Have you brought Song Lingrui back? Asked Miss Lan. Miss Lan, Master's wife, there is no news from the Fire Wolf War gods. Qiu Shanlong called them but no one answered. It was as if they suddenly disappeared. Said Dr. Benjamin Tu. What? Miss Lan was shocked after hearing it. What happened? For peak late stage great perfection masters couldn't take Song Lingrui away? Instead she disappeared? I suspect that something happened. With the strength of the Song family, it is impossible to kill 4 of us Fire Wolf War gods. Dr. Benjamin Tu said. If they had this strength, they would have made a move the first time they went to the Song family. They wouldn't have that helpless expression. I suspect that someone intervened to help, or it has nothing to do with the Song family. They encountered other troubles. I know. I will let someone investigate. Miss Lan was a person who did great things. After a short period of absent-mindedness, she calmed down. You don't have to worry about this matter. Concentrate on studying the 1st and 2nd grade automatic medicine cauldrons. Okay, I got it. Dr. Benjamin Tu agreed. Miss Lan had sent someone to deliver the 1st and 2nd grade automatic medicine cauldrons today, but Dr. Benjamin Tu had not poured out the time to study them yet. After hanging up the phone, Miss Lan couldn't sit still. She left her room and quickly went to Ancestor Xianqin. Miss Lan, why did you suddenly visit so late? Ancestor Xianqin looked at Miss Lan strangely and asked. There is something that I want to trouble Mr. Xianqin for. Miss Lan said straightforwardly. In the Chinese cultivation world, there should be nothing that can be hidden from the 5 Elements sect, right? Chapter 34-33. It's like this. On my side, 4 experts came here to do some work, but they suddenly lost contact. Miss Lan said. 4 experts? What kind of experts are they? When did this happen? Ancestor Xianqin was slightly stunned. He was a little surprised. He didn't expect Miss Lan to bring people over. What level of expert was this expert? 4 peak late heaven stage great perfection experts. This afternoon, after they went to do some work, we lost contact with the people at my headquarters. We can't contact them now. Miss Lan didn't hide it now. After all, if she didn't give these details to Ancestor Xianqin, where would he go to find them? What? 4 peak late heaven stage great perfection experts? This time, Ancestor Xianqin was completely shocked. He didn't expect the center to have such a foundation and strength. They could actually send 4 peak late heaven stage great perfection experts. Previously, he thought that they only had some research in technology and biohuman modification. He didn't expect that there were still hidden experts. Even Ancestor Xianqin didn't know about these experts, let alone others. However, after his shock, he still asked, where did they go? What did they do? Miss Lan, don't worry. With the strength of the 4 of them, they are almost invincible on our side. Except for our 5 Elements sect, no one can make them stay. Ancestor Xianqin didn't blame Miss Lan for not mentioning this matter in advance. Although the 5 Elements sect was from the Central Plains of China, it didn't mean that the cultivators in the Central Plains needed to be under the jurisdiction of the 5 Elements sect. Moreover, Patriarch Xianqin and Miss Lan happened to be in a cooperative relationship. It was only reasonable that Patriarch Xianqin had to help resolve this matter. This is what happened. Miss Lan didn't hide too much. She started from the Devil's Trial. A guest elder of the Overseas Cultivators Association snatched their center's inheritance. They waited until the guest elder returned to the Central Plains of China before they made a move. Overseas Cultivators Association. After Patriarch Xianqin heard this, although he felt that Miss Lan was a little unhappy with his younger brother's subordinate, he was just a guest elder after all, so he let it go. Moreover, this person had already returned and did not have much of a relationship with the Overseas Cultivators Association. Does that guest elder have some backing in the Central Plains? According to the investigation, there is no such thing, Miss Lan said. The guest elder's real name is Song Lingrui. She is a member of the secular Song family. How can such a family have any backers? What? When Patriarch Xianchen heard the names of Song Lingrui and the secular Song family, he was shocked. He slammed the table and stood up. Miss Lan, what did you say? This Song Lingrui is from the secular Song family? That's right. Mr. Xianchen. What's with your expression? Miss Lan looked strangely at the extremely shocked Patriarch Xianchen. In her opinion, Patriarch Xianchen had always been a very calm person. It was rare for him to reveal such a shocking expression. Could it be that the Song family, a secular family, has an ancient backer? Why would they be willing to stay in a secular family? Although the Song family is only a secular family, and they do not have an ancient backer, they have an even more powerful backer. Even I have a headache dealing with this person. Patriarch Xianchen smiled bitterly and said, Actually, Miss Lan, you should have heard that this person is Lin Yi. What? Lin Yi? Miss Lan was stunned and immediately frowned. This Lin Yi can actually kill 4 experts at the peak of the late stage of heaven stage? That's impossible, right? According to common sense, it is indeed impossible. However, I'm afraid that he has invited some mysterious help, such as the Bubble Li clan. My disciple Xiao Yi was killed by the Bubble Li clan under Lin Yi's orders. Patriarch Xianchen said helplessly, If the Bubble Li clan intervenes, it is really possible. Miss Lan's expression changed again and again. Finally, she said, Then Mr. Xianchen, do you have any ideas? In my opinion, the most important thing is to first investigate whether this matter has anything to do with Lin Yi. If there is, what kind of relationship? Who did Lin Yi invite to do it? Patriarch Xianchen thought about it and said, The key problem is to carefully find out whether these 4 people are still alive, and whether they have died. Okay, I'll have to trouble Mr. Xianchen with this matter. As for the 1st and 2nd grade automatic medicinal cauldrons, I will ask Dr. Benjamin Tu to hurry up and develop them, as soon as possible. Miss Lan said. Patriarch Xianchen nodded and then shouted to the door. Waiter, come here for a moment. Yes. Soon the waiter's voice was heard, and then the waiter walked into Patriarch Xianchen's room. Master, are you looking for me? How about this, you bring Kong Mingming and quickly go to Yanjing City to investigate something. It's like this. Patriarch Xianchen told him about the disappearance of Miss Lan's 4 people in the secular songhouse and then said, You have to be careful about this matter. Listen to Xiaoming. Xiaoming is a smart child. If there is really a strong enemy there, such as the Bubble Li clan, you don't have to prove that there is a conflict, understand? How about this, let Zhao Guangyin Mian Huachuan and Zhao Qibing follow and protect Kong Mingming. Your son-in-law's strength is lower, don't lose out. Miss Lan thought about it and said, After all, he is working for our center. Oh, if that's the case, thank you, Miss Lan. Patriarch Xianchen was overjoyed. Originally, he was going to let Kong Mingming bring the 3 masters from House Zhao to the Heaven class trial, but he didn't tell Miss Lan. He didn't know if Miss Lan would agree. But now, before he could say anything, Miss Lan had already brought it up. This made Patriarch Xianchen very happy. When the time came for the trial, Kong Mingming would bring the 3 of them to participate in the trial. That would be a matter of course. There's no need to thank me. I hope you can find out the whereabouts of the 4 people from our center as soon as possible. Miss Lan waved her hand. The 3 masters from House Zhao were just modified test subjects. They weren't particularly important to her. Moreover, these 4 masters had their own flaws. The center didn't care too much. Then I'll go rest first and wait for Mr. Xianchen's news. Miss Lan, don't worry. Once there is news, I will inform you immediately. Patriarch Xianchen nodded and said.